Okay, so we should be live. We should be live. Okay, so Peter, have you decided on a basic character you want to start with?
I guess. I mean, let's make that silly bard first, or actually, well, or should we?
Well,
just
start with race. So if you already know you want to make a bard, that's fine. But let's go ahead and because we want to do it. D&D 5th edition specifically has an order in which they want you to choose a race, then you figure out what class you want to play, then you roll your stats. The goal of which, I believe, is to establish a character over the metagame of statistics and combat and skills and all of that, which is typically what kills campaigns for a lot of players. But you already know you want to play a bard.
Actually, well, you know what? I mean, I was just kind of because we're just going to make characters. So at this point, let's start with something that I would definitely want to play. Let's go with a sorcerer.
Okay. So yeah, so what our goal is to do is to make 12 characters in total. The 12 characters are going to be one of each class, and at the end of all of our characters being created, we're going to allow the viewers to vote. There's going to be 3 ways you can vote: like, share, and comment. And the 4 characters that receive the most votes are going to be the 4 characters we play. So we have no idea who they're going to be, no idea what characters they're going to be. We may end up with no healers. Adapt, but we'll figure it out. We'll have some fun with it.
Can we get feedback, like real-time feedback from?
Yeah. I intend to get feedback. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking if there's a few viewers at home, I have no idea what I want to do for race.
Oh wait, who's got a race?
I'm sure
Mike will let us know as soon as somebody lets us know.
So I mean, you've got at least in the book right now, you've got dwarves, elves, and there's sub races for all of them.
One of the only rules.
Yeah, we're not going to do draft. Dwarves, elves, halflings, humans, dragonborn, which
I would like to have. Yes, I would like to have at least 2 characters be dragonborn because I would like a higher percentage chance of us having at least one dragonborn because of the content of the adventure we're going to be running. A dragonborn will make a very good player character.
Interesting. Okay. I'm unfamiliar with dragonborn.
So are reptilian humanoids.
It's kind of what I played in Kale's campaign.
They're descendants of dragons. They're very honorable, very upright. The
Doctor Who.
Kind of like the lizard people in the Slovene in Doctor Who. The Slovene from the new series of Doctor Who, not from the original series of Doctor Who, because those Slovene were a little more warlike.
I see.
Although they look more like those Slovene.
Proud Dragonkin. Okay.
It's okay. It was actually the first Doctor Who I ever watched. That specific set of episodes.
Stab you later.
Which for a modern viewing audience was a little boring, a little dry. However, I much prefer the newer Doctor Who stuff because I am a modern person. I like the modern stories.
Yeah.
I don't have the attention span.
The first episode was really good. I liked it a lot.
Maybe I'll try out doing Dragonborn.
Should we try this again with listing off the races?
I was gonna say preferably. Is there like a class that seems to like really speak with the Dragonborn? Because like since this is the Tyranny of
Dragonborn paladins are fun.
Because I was gonna say the Tyranny of Dragons campaign, like it's got a lot of like the cults and the clerics and a lot of that going on. So should a cleric, as Martin might be rolling up, will be rolling up here, should maybe he roll a Dragonborn preferably, or
did you get my message about wanting us some chat? The races?
No, what was that one?
It's alright. I will log in. I can't log into Twitch chat via my phone. So I wanted to get some chat feedback for what race he should pick. I figured you'd be up there when that message went through, and then somebody would probably post a race. And
actually, if you
if you want to pass me your laptop for now, that'll work.
We may need you to repeat it if you suggested one.
Yep. If you want to.
Here.
Another race you may or may not be familiar with are the Tieflings. Tieflings are descended with a clan of humans that have left them. They've left them with permanent infernal things: horns, cloven hoofs, fire powers.
I've played 3.5 with a tiefling. It was good time.
Yeah, Mark or Jeff did too, and that's what Jeff was in Kale's campaign.
Okay.
I actually looking through, I got an idea. I mean, maybe it would be for more of wouldn't be for. I was looking at bard stuff, and it didn't work for a bard, but maybe for a rogue or a fighter or something. I got a pretty interesting character. Tiefling. and that would be interesting to run with. But let me look who's Dragonborn.
So for the Dragonborn, I'm going to read some of the flavor text. Dragonborn. Her father stood on the first of the 3 stairs that led down from the portal, unmoving. The scales of his face had grown paler around the edges, but clanless Mehen
Can I close out
still
your tabs?
looked as if he could
Oh, it's
wrestle
just
down a
open.
dire bear himself.
Well, the problem is
His
we're
familiar,
streaming, so we can't have anything
well-worn
downloading
armor
or
was gone,
loading or doing stuff like
replaced
that.
by
Tabs or
bright
Yeah, yeah.
silvery
Just
tracings.
Close.
There was a blazon on his
Close
arm
them
as
all.
well, the mark of
Right,
some
close it.
foreign house. The sword at his back was the same, though, the one he had carried since even before he had found the twins left in swaddling at the gates of Arashbayim. For all her life, Faraday had known that reading her father's face was a skill she'd been fortunate to learn. A human who couldn't spot the shift of her eyes or Havilar's, only the indifference of a dragon in clanless Mehen's face. But the shift of the scales, the arch of ridge, the set of his eyes, the gape of his teeth, her father's face spoke volumes. But every scale of it, this time, seemed completely still, the indifference of a dragon, even to Faraday. A little excerpt in the book, some flavor text. Gives you some idea of the human's observation.
Interesting. And I see this kind of like clan-based mentality. And
is your DM screen from Morrowind?
This is from D&D 3.5. Morrowind was set in 3.5, so yes, technically. This is primarily Underdark. You see the Drow, and I think some Hokor over here, if I'm not mistaken.
oh, yeah, and there's one of those squid face called
The Illithids.
Illithid. That's it. One of these
Oh,
Illithid
speaking of
buddies.
squid faces, one of the Warlock options is Elder Gods. I am accepting Elder Gods as Warlock Pact options.
Yeah.
No.
Which will be the last week
No.
of our stream.
There's also something interesting they added into this book is a small green. There we go. It's going to be upside down, but you can see the small
Yeah, I
green
like
box
this.
there. That is a listing of facts. It's how other races view the race in question. For example, Dragonborns, Dragonborns, the races in question viewing other races. Dragonborns viewing gnomes. Gnomes don't look like a threat that can and can quickly disarm suspicion with good humor. The common folk are often curious about gnomes, likely never having seen one before, but they are rarely hostile or fearful. So, interesting things about Dragonborn: you get to pick at character creation a draconic ancestry, which
Right.
gives you a elemental resistance and an elemental attack.
Your phone's disconnected from the Wi-Fi, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Page 34 shows Dragonborn traits, under which has Draconic Ancestry. Black Dragon Ancestry, for example, gives you an acid damage attack, which is 5 foot by 30 foot, so one square by 6 in a line that has a dexterity saving throw, which reduces it by half. And then you also get resistance to acid, which I think makes you take half damage. I forget how resistance works in this edition. I will look that up.
Yeah, the resistance thing, it doesn't have like the number like it did in previous editions.
Yeah.
It just says resistance. So yeah, I assume maybe it's like disadvantage, like maybe the roll is disadvantage or something, or
Well, no, because the disadvantage only works in D&D 5. Rid of a lot of the extra number crunching. You no longer have, for example, if you're familiar with 3.5 and with 4th edition, when you get combat advantage, you're flanking an enemy, you get a +2 to hit. In this version, instead of having a +2, you get a second D20. The second D20 gets rolled along with the first one, and you get to choose the higher number. That's called advantage. You can also have
Writing
disadvantage
on here.
if
Because
the correct
instead of
enemy
waste paper, we can use
is
this for showing
casting a
stats.
spell on you, and you have disadvantage on the saving throw. You roll 2d20, lower number. But that only works on d20 rolls and not damage rolls, at least as far as I've seen.
Would you check it, Martin?
Oh, I'm seeing what they
For resistance.
recommend for race here.
Well, just look in the book. They
Damage
have
types.
recommendations. They have it all in there.
Damage, resistance, and
Oh,
vulnerability.
no, like I'm
Some
letting them
creatures and
choose my
objects
race
are
for
exceedingly
that.
difficult.
Oh, that
to
okay. I
unusually
know. That's why.
hurt
Are you gonna
certain
watch it
types
then,
of
or am I
damage.
gonna watch it? Because that's
If a
we need to
creature
figure out.
to a damage type. Damage of that type is halved against it.
Oh,
If
okay.
you're vulnerable, it is doubled. So
Okay, so resistance means half damage from that thing.
yeah.
We got
There's also if you
2 votes for Tiefling for the cleric.
For the cleric.
okay, Tiefling cleric. We'll go for it.
That's what we're going with.
That sounds like an interesting character.
Mike,
So-
I'm gonna close out here. Is not to, or should I leave up the chat?
Leave that up so we can talk. Yeah,
Right.
that's why I was asking. Do you want to do that, or I can watch that?
Either way.
I can watch it if you, so you have more time to focus. Since I've read through the book already.
Okay,
Okay. You
the,
wanna?
the Great
wanna
Old One
book over
pact
here?
for Warlock actually seems really fun.
Yes.
I think I might want to. I think everyone already knew that I would say this, but I think
Yep.
I want to try just making a character with a Warlock with a Great Old One pact.
I think that's
Yeah.
just.
I think
that's
you got the
it
dibs on the
sounds like
warlock
too much
right
fun.
now.
It sounds like too much fun to have.
Yeah, maybe that'll
Especially
be
with
the
all the
Tiefling
Cthulhu
character.
talk we had earlier.
That might be the Tiefling
The
character.
Dragonborn or the Tiefling?
No, I
We
don't
can have more than one of each race.
I mean,
There's
yeah,
no
I mean, we
restriction
could
on
have
it.
you could have a Dragonborn Warlock, but that one that seems like an odd and kind of interesting. I mean, that would be an interesting character combination, but I don't, it seems at least narratively the way they portray Dragonborn, that seems like it's kind of
And I don't know if did you make what we're doing with the streams until our release of the campaign, like what we're
Yes,
actually doing.
I
Okay, yeah.
explained it. Just because, why not? So what we're going to be doing is making a total of 12 characters, one for each class. At the end of the full character creation cycle, which is going to be this week and the next 2 weeks, we're going to have all 12 characters. We're going to post them all upline with character sheets, hopefully character portraits, and then you will be able to vote 3 times. Vote 3 times.
We're still
per
working out
character.
the system for voting.
Yeah.
There is like Google Docs, which I can do stuff like with that and openable ways to make it the most effective.
The goal is to have you available to vote 3 times, once with a share, once with a comment, once with a like. That way we'll be able to take advantage of you and have you spread our stuff around for us. Yay, everybody wins!
Mostly us. Though,
Mostly
right?
us, though. But
And then I have
you get to win by
and
watching
then
us.
one thing for us who are rolling characters, just I gave you a pen. These pens are fine to write on this mat, so rather than waste the paper, you can just write it and do it all on here so they can see it as well, which will be much clearer.
okay. So you know what? Let's go with this. Okay, I'm going to go with a Tiefling. How about a Tiefling?
So you're doing the bard. No, wait.
No,
He's doing the tiefling.
He was going to do a tiefling cleric. He wanted to do
a Tiefling cleric. Okay.
He wanted to do a warlock.
Well, we're holding up on the warlock because remember we're doing the
Are we just gonna
the
go
bard.
down the list?
Yeah, let's just go down the list so that way people can catch on to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay. Okay. Let's go with the bard first then.
Yeah, let's do the bard
Okay.
because I'm doing the barbarian,
Okay.
And
So
and then Joel when he gets.
Goods.
yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
you do. So you're gonna start out, Mike, with the.
No,
first-
because I don't have anything yet. All I know is I'm doing a barbarian. That's what I'm rolling up basically because
Okay.
you've already got a race in a class now. Peter doesn't have anything in particular just yet. So if anyone
I have
has,
actually an entire character written out for a bard, but you know.
Yeah.
it's-
well, let's see what they have. Maybe it had matched your race or it matched something along the way. So.
So let's go with
Let's,
okay. So
let's hear what you've written up and come up with so far.
Okay,
for
so
your-
we're starting.
I wanted to try to start with this. I mean,
Okay.
I guess we're technically starting with class, but
Whatever.
I mean,
whatever.
what
So,
you could
okay,
do too is write
half
down.
orc. Half orc is the race.
okay. Yes, we discussed this one earlier. So we're going to go with a half orc.
Yeah. Let's step by step characters.
Half orcs. So this version of half orcs is very much like the other editions of half orcs, where they are the result of some sort of interbreeding between a human and an orc. They are considered not bad, but unsavory. They're sometimes met with open hostility, most times with just general unease.
Kind of like Gary Busey.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. That's even physically descriptive. Surprisingly.
That works.
Huh. Go figure. Statistically, not the best for a bard, but that's a good character.
Yeah, I think they're strength 2 and con 1, like essentially. Is that?
Yeah, bonus of +2 to strength, +1 to con. They gain.
So ours is going to be
dark
upside
vision.
down if we write.
They have menacing,
really?
which gives
Yeah,
them
so I'll go
proficiency
around
with
and write it.
intimidation skill.
Okay.
That way it's clear.
Relentless endurance. When you're reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead, once per long rest, so once per day. And savage weapons, when you score a critical hit, you can roll one of the die's weapon dice an extra tough. So you get basically it used to be called high crit. You get an extra damage die on top of your regular crit dice.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, this is
Super melee stuff.
This fits very well for the battle bard you had described earlier.
Right. Yeah, not much of a caster bard, not as much.
Each half-orc finds a way to gain acceptance from those who hate orcs. Some are reserved, trying not to draw attention to themselves. A few demonstrate piety and good-heartedness as publicly as they can. Such demonstrations are genuine, and some simply try to be as so tough that others just avoid them.
Now, and I thought of it in like one of those interesting kind of acting out scenarios of a half-orc who just kind of decides that, like, you know what, I'm going to just almost buy into the stereotype.
Right.
He serves as like an entertainer in a combat sense. He's a battle bard, and I saw this great background of a variant entertainer, which is where essentially you do combat for entertainment. And so almost like he's kind of one of those pro wrestlers who always plays the bad guy because everybody hates half-orcs, essentially, or seems like they're at least kind of like judged as bad by many common folks. And so he just almost just works with that.
So real quick, can't see it, but I'll keep talking anyways. Backgrounds are something that it's been around for a while, but in this specific edition, it's something that is added in on top of the character. A little more of a dynamic source. The one he's referring to specifically is called Entertainer. Some flavor text from it. You thrive in front of an audience. You know how to entrance them, entertain them, and even inspire them. Your poetics can stir the hearts of those who hear you, awakening grief or joy, laughter or anger. Your music raises their spirits or captures their sorrow. Your dance steps captivate. Your humor cuts to the quick. Whatever techniques you use, your art is your life. Variance is, let's see here, Gladiator, which he described earlier. It basically allows you have several charts in which you sort of roll on to give you sort of a listing of who your character is. This is, again, incorporated with, I think, 5th edition's overall effort to make it more of a role-playing game, less of a statistical-based metagame. You have a personality trait, an ideal, a bond, and a flaw. The 4 characters that are chosen will also be rolling on an additional table, which is specific to the adventure, and that will be explained more when we actually begin. So, why don't we go ahead, since we know what we're doing for you, why don't we go ahead and roll your stats?
Okay, so how's that work?
So we're doing 46 minus the lowest. Then this one, they have you do 3d6, reroll the lowest, 46
I think it says 40. I thought it said 40.
3d6, reroll the lowest.
Oh, okay.
But this is essentially the same thing.
That's weird because I thought it said 4. Did we decide on your race, Peter?
Half-orc.
Okay.
Very specific.
Okay, so how many? 4d6?
46, and the lowest one is discarded.
Okay.
And then you get to rearrange the stats once you've created a block of 6. 4, 8, 10.
Get rid of the 1.
So I'm going to grab one below your race.
We'll keep it green for half-orc.
Oh, right.
So what? I add that up and make it a 10?
Yes.
Okay.
That is a stat. And then go ahead and roll again.
Okay.
4, 8, 10.
Again, alright.
That's fine. An average character has an average stat of 10 to 12.
Yeah, I mean, that makes
10
sense.
to
It's actually... Okay, different
10
rolls
to
this
12,
time.
so a little bit higher.
Let's see if I can...
Yeah, I know. Writing upside down is a little harder than
There we
reading
go.
upside down.
Kale does give you Godspeed for your rolls, Peter, because
Oh,
Speed
thank
to you, sir.
your rolls do suck.
Alright, I do have the Kale Blessing now. Let's see.
If you want to have the barbarian dice.
Aha!
there
Kale
we
Blessing
go.
comes in!
12, 15?
Okay, you don't have a negative yet. That's still good.
Yeah. In this game's stat build, you can't stat build above a 15 before racial bonuses. So the average stat build is 3 15s and 3 8s. So if you're doing about that, you're doing fine.
Okay.
That is the backwards 5.
It's a backwards 5.
Yes.
I knew it.
It's okay. Just people understand.
There you
There
go.
we go.
125.
Okay. Or 2 more.
Or 2 more.
There it is.
There's the intelligence.
I don't know. This character should have some decent intelligence. Maybe
It's his
maybe
constitution.
your wisdom.
Or Constitution.
Or yeah, wisdom.
Well,
or
he's
gonna be a battle type
Oh
character.
no,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a bard. So yeah, he's gonna want to spawn. But I think your wisdom maybe. Oh, there we go.
Oops,
Oof.
that was a 3.
Was that
right?
a 6? I thought we had 2 6s and a 5.
I thought it was 2 3. Damn it!
Reroll
I'm
that.
pretty sure that was a 6.
Reroll that.
Was it a
page.
six?
No, that was a 3. It was 2 3s, a 5, and a 6.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
that's
thought I
right.
saw a line under it, but maybe it was just part of the.
No, it was the other one.
That's that. Okay, well that's still pretty good. So
Yeah.
that's was that 14?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I mean, this is still par for what they designed the game for.
Cool.
Okay, so now now you can set them up into the order you want them in. As a come from your charisma.
Right. So you want charisma. So like maybe a 15 for the charisma. Should that be?
Well, since you can't modify your charisma at level 1 with the half orc, that would make sense from a metagame standpoint.
Oh yeah, because it's 2 strength and 1 constitution.
Exactly.
Or maybe, I mean, because like you can increase the stats later, so maybe just a 14 charisma works.
So the way this one works is every even number you get your one. So if you have a 15 that you modify later, that will immediately become an extra +1.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the 14 will take 2 points, which you could do at a level up because you can level up. When you level up, you can take depending on the class, every so often you get a stat bonus. That stat bonus is either +2 to a stat or +1 to 2 stats. Alternatively, you can switch out that bonus and take a feat. The only way you can acquire feats in this edition is by getting rid of. Some feats give you a single point in a single stat, as well as other features. So you can still sort of have a stat advancement while taking feats.
And one thing I'll point out in the big edition, or the change from at least 3.5, and you can run on the 4.0, was Pathfinder. It was more like you had to build up like 15 feats to get a amazing, awesome, cool ability. In 5.0, you take 1, and it's pretty much an entire tree for Pathfinder, or 3.5.
I will say that each feat in 4th edition is like 3 feats in 4.0. I'll find one real quick, and I'll find one quickly. Real quick is improper English.
So in this version, does it mean that like basically you can still cast higher level spell levels even if you don't have that like 20 charisma or whatever?
There is no limitation. It simply
cool.
changes saving throws. It
Yeah, it's the
changes
modifier.
damage. It's the modifier. Got rid of that from older editions. To be fair, it was silly.
Yeah,
It meant that if you didn't have perfect stats, there was no reason to be a caster.
right. Yeah, so that's cool. That opens things up. That means for this like combat bard, I don't have to. I could have lower charisma.
So on the subject earlier of you mentioning the grapple character,
Oh, yeah.
there is a feat called Grappler.
Oh, yeah, where you can pin
Prerequisite,
things.
Strength 13 or higher. You've developed the skills necessary to hold your own in close quarters grappling. You gain the following benefits. You have advantage on attack rolls against a creature you are grappling. Gives you an extra d20 to the attack. Take the higher number. You can use your action to try to pin a creature grappled by you. To do so, make another grapple check. If you succeed, you and the grappled creature are both restrained until the grapple ends, which basically prevents them from trying to escape. Creatures that are one size larger than you don't automatically succeed on checks to escape your grapple. Oh, that's interesting. I missed that. I'm going to have to rethink some stuff at some point later on in the...
Okay, so let's see here. So we've got strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. So I'm thinking,
so...
I'm not thinking of him as actually a super smart character.
Okay.
Or a very wise character. So that might be our 10s. Oh wait, but there's a 9 there. The wisdom is... so that,
Yeah, wisdom... Because intelligence and wisdom are very different. In fact, why don't I go into the statistics?
They did, I think, a good job defining them too this time.
Actually, they're further. They're really
I'll
deep
just
into
do a
the
W
book this
for
time.
this.
In all previous editions, the
I wanna
stat
see some
blocks
serious
and the
wisdom.
explanation of the stats
Yes,
were right in the
please.
beginning. This one's about halfway through the book. Right, specifically, chapter 7, that deep. See, 173. 173 of 315 pages. So, advantage. This is checks. So where's our wisdom?
All right, the last Ninja Cow's heading out. He was one of our viewers from over in what was it? Over in Europe somewhere.
And we're hoping that at
Yeah.
some point we can start earlier so that the European crowd can join us and really weigh in on us. You're welcome to vote as much as you want, even if you have to watch our recordings. Please do.
Yeah.
Would you like to play cat? There's
No!
all this for you.
So wisdom reflects how attuned you are to the world around you and represents your perceptiveness and intuition. Whereas intelligence measures mental acuity, accuracy of recall, and the ability to reason. So maybe wisdom would be better than intelligence. Because it's his perception, his ability to judge an
Can I
enemy.
borrow one of these decks?
Good call. Yeah, you know what? Let's switch the. I should have just,
Or you just-
crossed it.
I'm-
This is such an
I'm
awkward
just
system.
sort
Okay,
of,
whatever.
Well, you can get up and go around the table, or I can go do that for you, and you can tell me what to write.
Oops. Wait, hold on.
What I would like to see somebody
Well,
do
no, it's just
is
all the things I have to
randomly
keep
generate a gender.
crossing out.
That's what that was.
Okay,
Oh,
but
sweet.
whatever. Okay,
Excellent.
so that's gonna be wisdom. That's intelligence.
Unless you, I mean, I can do it for our
No, that's
viewers
fine.
at home.
That's fine. If
I'll be
you've done it,
charisma.
we can do it as a surprise in a minute. So while you're doing stats, so what have we determined about the character?
What have we determined about the character? I am going, as far as cleric, one thing I've determined is that I'm going with the life domain.
Okay, that was what we discussed earlier. You wanting to play more of a healer, wanting to make a character with more of a healing aspect.
Which is interesting with the tiefling, sort of that demonic looking character.
And I think that's what I hope people that are watching can help weigh into about creating a good back. Like remorse for past sins, or trying to be accepted for, his demonic looks, things like that, because that's the things that
one
tieflings
thing
suffer from.
I've thought about is, especially with healing and
Is that a
life.
tiefling?
That is a tiefling. That is a tiefling cleric.
I'm gonna just put it up right here for a second, guys. A tiefling cleric.
One thing life domain stuff is, there was divine intervention, and that sort of steered the tiefling
You
to...
can increase your voice a little.
Okay. Divine intervention sort of steered the tiefling towards religious purposes and good religious purposes, and so, out of that evil because of the rescue. But really like to hear some feedback from our audience.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a character that has very much a redemption story. It has these ancestral sins that
You're atoning
it's
for.
now with divine intervention, moving it towards this path of life and healing, and it's very much could be battling its own inner literal inner demon.
And even further than inner, physical, because you could just, you want to atone, for everything. You want to be more humanoid, and you kind of deny your ancestry kind of idea. And you feel like the more that you can feel like that these natural features will maybe go away, and that's your ultimate goal too, is to become more humanoid. So growing in strength, growing in power, and helping others to,
Exactly.
be accepted.
And maybe not so much denying, but definitely atoning for not only the tieflings' sinful ways, quote unquote, but their ancestral sinful ways.
Yeah.
So I like that. Was rolling over here. I rolled female, which was that one.
Perfect. I was hoping we'd have some female characters.
Oh, that's right. Do we have a race?
Oh yeah.
Male, female.
I mean, I guess.
We can roll for it. That's what we.
I like the idea, or flipping a coin, or just something.
Or if anyone has a suggestion, we'll take the suggestion if you feel like someone should be a male or female, or else we figured we would roll just so we had a random stat of some sort in the game.
It's just the idea of that way we're not making female characters, and we're not making exclusively male characters. We're just rolling characters.
Yeah.
Because in the end, a strong female character is a character.
It's
The
a strong
gender
character.
should be
Yeah,
irrelevant
it's a strong
to the
character.
character.
I totally agree. I've always just been the kind where whenever a type of player where whenever I'm making characters, I just kind of make male characters just because I have to acknowledge that I as a dude, I don't really know the female experience. I'm not going to pretend like I do. It's still play female characters. I think it's good. I'm just like, that's just personally me, where I just never feel like I'm just like, I don't know if I can even like do that. I feel like I'm going to do something offensive, or just like make some sort of broad assumption. It's like, it's not true. But you know what? Like, I bet you know, I might as well just do this randomized, and I would be totally down to play a female character for once and just give that a go.
Peter,
Get outside the comfort zone, you know.
the way I think about it is that while you might not be able to speak to the human, as far as the tiefling or what are you, half-orc female experience, you might have a very
They aren't real.
insightful. Exactly, and this is where
It's not real
imagine.
things,
And you know, one thing I like to just talk about in gender with in general with gender relationships. In general, is that for every stereotype there is a literal person that behaves that way. It's horrible. Everybody exists. Every character
I understand.
exists.
Yeah.
If you want to be just play a female character as a bubblegum chewing bimbo, those people are out there.
Right.
And if you wanted to play,
Well, I'm making a character that works with the stereotype. He literally uses the stereotype to his own advantage, or her advantage,
you know,
whatever.
He's the overacting wrestler. He's he's a caricature of himself.
He or she basically working as a character of him or herself, essentially like, look, it's that half.
Do you have decent writing, Joel?
And like, yeah.
I'm terrible at writing. Well,
So,
am I bigger writing? Am I?
Then we'll switch spots if you want.
What I
Then
did
can
as
write
far
everyone
as
down.
writing
Okay.
them
Yeah, please
is
write.
I did 1 and 2 are female, the rest are male, because adventurers it's more probable that they are male.
That's fair enough.
It's,
Okay, let's you know what? Roll it. Let's see.
you like that?
Yeah. Male?
Male.
Is that male? Okay. This is male.
Oh
Wait,
no,
that's
no,
yours.
I'm female.
Okay.
Or was this mine? Whose dice was this?
He borrowed that from you.
Oh yeah, this is mine.
Here, I'm
Which
gonna
was
clean up your
surprising,
things.
yes.
Can you write those down
Thank
really
you.
quick?
This will,
Can you write those down on a piece of paper? I'm gonna clean it up so it
Yeah.
looks neater.
Yeah.
So I am a female tiefling cleric. I've gone with the name Nemia. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Sure.
Seems like a fun name. And then as far as subclass of cleric, life domain.
Let me know when you got them. I'll do it.
And, all right.
Oh, did you want to get your own dice for rolling your stats? Since you brought.
I like that.
If you want to just
Maybe
wait
they're
while I
lucky.
clean this out.
I'm assuming everybody watching is familiar with D&D players and their dicey superstitions. We like using our own dice.
I lost my dice. I have to go look for them.
If you want, I have many good dice.
I know.
I
I
have
will
my
bu-
high precision dice. If you want a more accurately.
I would
rated
love a
roll.
high precision dice. I've wanted to buy them actually.
I will go
So
back-
I would
Your
be
dice
more
must
than
be
happy
around.
to use them.
Your dice must be around. I mean, like, you had so many.
I'm
like,
More
all of
at the
them.
farm.
Oh.
That's not them in that purple bag.
No, those are the dice that I do not like as much, and they're not as pretty good and
They're
cool.
cursed.
They are cursed. They are the in the what we call the
Bag of
Really?
the bag of
Right on the tree I was
never
about to sit
returning.
on. Just like a fucking cat.
We're keeping it PG-13, Joel.
Oh, my bad.
Also,
Just like a crappy cat.
Ratchet the cat is already established.
The
He's a
so the
player.
word
Female, right?
is actually
Oh, yeah,
PG-13.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's still a harsh word. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, we should only use words that can be used on public television and do not have a mature rating. So keep that in mind.
So we can still throw that around, you know? It's like
You
For
should.
for people who are unfamiliar, this is called a Zachi dice set. Specifically,
What
these
is
ones
that?
here. This is a
What is
D3. This is
it's a D3.
This is a D25.
What's with the P's?
It's
Something with the
rock paper
camera.
scissors.
Oh.
Give it a second.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm holding them there. D25, which looks kind of like a D20, but as you can tell, has a little bit of a different shape to it.
Wow.
I'm sorry, D24? 25.
These are wild dice.
D24. Anyways, D16 which looks like a D10 but more sides. This is the D14, which sides, and this is the D5, which I bloody hate. I'd rather do a D10 and do 5 and 5.
Right. Yeah. That's a.
But I mean, this is
horrible
honestly
die.
this is the
Look
easiest
at
way
that
to
thing.
do it. It's a D4 with these big wide sides. It does give you a fairly random 1, 5, 3.
But just
Five
do a
and
D10.
yeah.
Like yeah,
Exactly.
that's absurd.
These are also high precision dice.
Oh, those are the high precision
Yes,
ones?
so these ones have a much stronger, sharper cut than a die. The reason for this is they are not run through a rock tumbler like all other dice you buy. The reason they do the rock tumbler is because it's an easy way of getting rid of the little nibs that come in the production. I sanded them all down really well, so it's hard to show them. But basically, when you get these dice, they have tiny little plastic bumps that you have to shave off. The reason for this is that normally, like I said, they get put through a rock tumbler, which gets then painted and run through a rock tumbler again, which causes all of your dice to be slightly oblong. This causes a less random chance of getting any specific number. It's a minute change, but you'll notice that some dice that are lucky tend to roll 20s. They tend to roll dice in the same two grouping categories. That is a result of that slightly oblong shape. Certain sides roll a little more smoothly and stop a little sharper. For example, casino dice, if you've ever been to a casino in Vegas and you've checked those dice, when you put them together, they make a solid single surface. And that is because they have a much higher requirement than any other dice. These dice, I wish they had that level of prime smoothness, because that gives you the most random chance possible.
Is there any way to get dice, like D&D dice, that are quality of Las Vegas?
They don't make D20s and stuff of that quality.
Yeah,
That
actually no,
sucks.
those are the closest that they make to
Yes.
it.
You get me a set of that.
And that's
actually.
they're hard to
very
come by
expensive.
now. Yeah, they are very hard to come by now
I
for some
only
reason.
have one D6, which is all you really need. I also have my full metal set,
Oh yeah.
which provide a slightly more accurate roll than a standard set.
Where'd you
Simply-
get those? Those are gorgeous.
I bought these. You can't really see, but yeah.
You can put them over here.
I bought these ones online. I forget what site from. I believe it's Dwarf Dice. There's only one company that sells the high precision, and I believe if you look up Zachi Dice, you'll find it. They're the only group that makes Zachi Dice.
Make those ones?
No, the high precisions.
Okay.
The gentleman who owns this company, who runs this company, is one of the original dice manufacturers from the old days of
Oh, I'm
D&D.
switching your side.
He's been making dice
right.
forever and a day. And if you look up Zachi Dice Rant, you'll probably find why high precision dice are better. That was ultimately the reason that I ended up getting high precision dice. I found that they give me a much better statistical
Let me try putting it next to
randomness. The metal dice I like as well, but they're a little too heavy, and for example, rolling them on a mat like this will damage the mat. So
Yeah.
they're really only good if you have a small piece of cork board or a
You want
book
to pass
bag
me Martin's laptop?
to roll them
Yeah.
or a dice cut,
Out of the camera shot.
or a hair choke.
Wait,
that
why
you
you need
convert
the
into a
laptop?
dice.
So I can talk too. Unless you're
if
gonna
you
do it.
remember
If
when
you
you
got
did
it,
it.
okay, you can.
I'm on my
Dice
solid
first.
wireless
I'm
connection.
pretty
so
sure
that way
it's
it
Dwarven dice,
doesn't
and they're like
places all the time.
$40 or something. But yeah,
That's doable.
Or you can still use it as like
Most of the
pass me
dice
the
I've
pens?
seen online,
Yeah.
like I
Need
get
color
looking
for
at them
you.
and they look tiny.
purple.
oh yeah, there is a smaller set. Those
I was
guys
going
are
for
possible.
visible, but
'Cause they're not
purple
as
is
heavy.
good because it matches just matches everything else.
So I'm gonna start rolling out my stats.
It's
the
not working.
bulb is out.
Either the bulb went out or something happened.
All right, we ready?
You
I'm
are
ready.
ready, Drew. That's what you're doing.
Stat 1. Okay, we have a 16. Looks like I can't read one of the die, but okay. So go ahead and just write down under your stats. First score we have is 16.
Yeah, bulb. Since we can't use this one anyway.
7. No, 10.
10. Oh, I guess we don't need that off anymore, do we?
Cool. I'll try to.
Oh,
Woo! Now that is a low stat. That's a 4. This cleric, maybe an ugly cleric. I don't know. I think clerics use charisma. So
Actually, yeah, and tieflings do get a bonus.
or is it wisdom? Yeah, 2 to their charisma score. 1 to intelligence, 2 to charisma. Clerics may be wisdom, but I think they also use some charisma stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to look at all this.
12. Okay. But you got a high stat and a low stat, so
Easy.
you know you can have it. You could have an 18 charisma. Yeah, that other stat number.
I'll leave the 1. It's good. It's 1 and a 4.
6, 10, 12 again.
How many times am I doing this? 6.
1 more time.
Another
Ooh, 7. A 7.
7.
Okay. That's fairly balanced. I mean, you look at his stats.
Yeah.
His stats are a little higher, with not as much of a drop. Yours are a little more average, with a little bit of a higher. So the cleric, we'll pick that up real quick. This druid. Okay, so cleric, specifically the life. That's Tempest domain. We don't want Tempest. We want life domain. 2+ spell level, armor, divinity. Looks like most of it is just wisdom based. Constitution for hit points. Saving charisma. So those are your 2 primaries, wisdom and charisma. You will get a +2 to your charisma and a +1 to your intelligence.
So if you want to write that on the side.
You may be a non-dexterous cleric. You're going to be wearing heavy armor anyway, or I think heavy armor, right? Medium armor, which will eliminate your dexterity bonus anyways.
So
Well,
it's
you can get at least +2,
to
right?
char-
+2 to charisma, +1 to intelligence, and that's from the teeth.
I mean, you can still get like plus a max of like +2 to your AC for medium armor, right? If you with dexterity.
I don't believe that medium armor gives you any dexterity bonus, but I will double check.
Medium armor has a minimum.
There's like a limit.
Yeah.
There's a limit to the
Well,
dexterity.
yeah, they all
There's
have
no
a
limit. There's no
limit,
limit
but-
to light armor. I seem to recall just a limit of like +2 to your AC.
Yeah, that's
with
what it
medium
is.
armor, and of course you get nothing for heavy armor.
So
Max 2 for medium. You're
I
correct.
back it up for dexterity, right?
Yeah, I mean it would lower your AC overall, but you could eventually get heavy armor as one of your feats later on.
Yeah.
Is that a feat?
There's a feat that gives you
Oh, yeah.
heavy armor proficiency, and you just have to have medium armor proficiency as a requirement.
Yeah, so you can
And,
just be a heavily armored cleric, and you might actually get that if you're going for life. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you could just take the feat of heavy armor.
Or you could always have a low constitution and not have very many hit points. You're not super combat oriented anyway. You're not going to be in combat a ton.
So I'm thinking for the dexterity's the lowest at 4, and then constitutions can be
Well, and
6.
here's
The
the
clumsy cleric.
Well, here's the other thing to consider too.
Many of the
When
clubs.
thinking about this, is Dex is your only initiative bonus in this game. There is nothing else that changes that. So
You
putting
always
it
go
forward,
last.
you will always go last.
That's fine. I
Which
mean,
is fine.
Whatever.
Which
Versus,
might actually be beneficial.
Then you can heal.
Yep.
Yeah.
or you always
Damage
figure
first,
you out. Yeah.
It just means I'm going to have to build into that heavy armor.
Yeah. But see, then this is how the characters take shape. This is
Yep.
Yeah, and I was thinking the low constitution with my backstory that I proposed, being brought back, being raised by, some god. I probably didn't come back all the way.
there you go.
Strength.
Should I pull this
Am I
down a
gonna
little
use
bit?
Strength.
Strength
So-
is going to be stats. So you're going to have charisma for wisdom for your spells. Charisma is for saving throws, and then strength is for attacking and damaging. A 12, I don't believe gives a 12. I think gives a +1.
Yes.
So I mean,
It's-
if you had a 10 or a 12, it's not a huge bonus, but it's a small bonus if you wanted
It's
to.
it's still based off the original system, which is 20, or what is it? It's your stat divided by 2. So
I honestly don't know. I've
oh,
always
it's your
12 is +1.
It's stat minus 10 divided by 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that was the original idea. So a 16 is
Plus
divide.
3.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
+3. So minus 10
yeah,
6.
I just
plus
memorized
3.
the order. I guess that works. That's an interesting way to put it. I wonder if that's how they crafted it. That's
That
kinda
is how
cool.
they crafted it.
kinda
They
cool.
were very specific about it in Pathfinder, and they carried it. And it seems like it's one of those constants.
Additionally, everybody has a set proficiency bonus that's based on level. But you get weapons you are proficient with skills you are proficient with spells you are proficient with, and at level 1 that is a +2 bonus. So you're going. I believe that goes to all attacks as well, but not damage. I think damage is strictly strength.
Is it for attacks?
Yes, with weapons you're proficient. That's your
Oh
proficiency
yes, yeah.
attack bonus.
With if you're proficient with the weapon, yes.
Additionally, improvised weapons. Improvised weapons comes up. I will be doing a little fast and loose with. So, like for example, if Peter's character broke off a chair leg, he'd be proficient with it because his character is the kind of character, in this case, the bard, that would be proficient with a chair leg.
Also,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I think it does mention, like, at the DM's description, they could
Yeah.
say, like, well, that functions like a club, that's
Right,
a simple
yes.
weapon, you can do that, you know.
And I'm glad they pointed that out too, because DMs can. I've seen DMs. It's rather harsh sometimes when you want to.
A druid would not be proficient with a broken bottle.
No, yeah.
Because he's a druid.
But a barbarian may.
Yeah, barbarians have probably been in a few bar fights.
Yeah.
But, we would probably all agree, like, okay, if you just want to take the entire chair, and you're just breaking a chair over someone, that's an improvised weapon. Like,
Right.
that's,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Yes.
like, you didn't have specific training in chairs.
Unless,
Like, unless you're a
some
character.
specific class feature.
If
that's
you're like a
barroom
barroom brawler, yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Then at which
Yeah.
point, yes, you get a proficiency bonus because you've hit people with chairs before.
And some. Or I mean, that's what
I
the
think
fee is
there might
for
be a fee, so-
improvised weapon fighting.
Yeah.
And so that's why you would want to take that.
So then, going back to character creation, as far as spell casting, I'm sure you said this, but
Charisma. Wisdom.
Wisdom.
Keep doing that. Wisdom is your number one primary stat.
And actually, I will point out,
So
and
I'm
I
gonna go
love
with
this about
16.
this edition, is that if you go to the beginning part of your class, and it tells you a quick build for every single class. Races are the best for it by default, and which things that you should put your stats into.
Yeah, when you
And
showed me that, I
it-
was very happy.
It's very
to see
great
something
because
as
it gives
simple
you
for
the
that.
opportunity to basically figure out, it's like, oh, I'm generally a spellcaster, so I know what stats I should be putting some of these into.
Yeah.
And I mean, when it comes to role playing, obviously you need the option to move away from that too, but just to get the basic understanding and start behind the game, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it helps out
Yeah.
a ton.
So let's see.
actually reading that advice and heeding that advice.
So do you
I think
any
I'm gonna
new
change
developments
that.
on your bard?
So now I'm calculating up the full stats. I added the bonuses for half orc, and I'm just going to calculate his starting hit points.
Okay.
Which is,
So,
let's see,
yes.
for Bard, that's hit points at first level is 8 plus the Constitution modifier. And it started at 15 plus 1 for half orcs, that's 16.
So +3.
So it'll be 11. 11 hit points.
For level up hit points, we're going to use the high average. We're not going to roll for level up hit points because while it's great if you're rolling 12s on your d12, if you're rolling 1s on your d12, your character quickly becomes untenable. So I love high
I
average.
did that
I will
once.
say though,
I
but
did that
it
once.
does
I rolled
say
once
in
every
the,
level.
it does have a thing though. You have an alternate though, where you can take based off your level and your Constitution bonus. There is that too, so you always have a minimum.
Where was that?
So it's not.
So the 7, the class feature for barbarian, a d12 or 7 plus your Constitution modifier.
Exactly.
So that is high average.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the 7 is the high average.
Yeah.
On a d6, it would be 4 is the high average. So that's what the high average is. That's something they introduced in 3.5 that I really liked.
I like
in
that.
4th edition, it's a static number, which is basically there's no rolling. This just takes back a step to 3.5 where you have the option.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good call. Just because,
Yeah.
like, I remember, because in one of our campaigns, it was Skeeve. I remember every level I rolled, like, 1s and 2s,
Yeah.
so he had no health, while every other character was, like, tanks, and he was like, I have 20 health.
Yeah.
And we were like, little Snake's like 20
That's kind of how I felt
health.
when because I was the thief. It was like we were the small guy.
Okay, so we're calculating stats.
And so you guys should get a chance to read through the book, and let's go through back to Joel and I, who do not have a race, who do not have a sex, and we have to roll for sex.
I've not had sex.
No, you have not.
God damn it.
It has been a while.
I moved
Okay, so
the
So
the other 12 to Constitution based on reading.
Okay, so
yeah, it's good to have those.
Barbarian and Druid.
Intelligence.
what race are you thinking for a barbarian?
You know, I was gonna leave it open to what anyone wanted to vote in and kind of say with. I looked at a couple of the options, and because I did talk with Darby, started this, a Dragonborn did kind of make sense for Dragonborn or a human. Very basic, very simplistic. I mean, it's an outlandish character. Very likely because it is the Neverwinter kind of whole setting in that stuff. It's someone who's coming from the north, and it's really kind of debating because there are two different types for the barbarian. There is essentially a barbarian who tanks and does a ton of damage, who is more in touch with the spiritual world around them, who channel like animal abilities, which is like they have bear, you know, like they're more like a grizzly bear, and so they're more buff in strength, or they're like a wolf, you know, and they're quicker and more ambidextrous. And then there's like the falcon, and so they have like long vision and they have more insight into stuff like that, which is really cool. So those are the options I wanted to leave open for people to hopefully
like kind of like Native American.
That's what's great, and I wanted to leave that open for people before I started crafting and going into it. Like, which way did you guys want to see a barbarian in this campaign go towards?
What I would
and I wanted to put that out to, I mean, not just the players here at the table, but everybody out streaming.
What I might say is that if you're comparing like human and dragonborn for barbarian, at least from what I've seen and from what I'm seeing in the book and the descriptions I've heard of like a dragonborn, it seems they're kind of clan oriented, very resolute. You know, so not. It seems like they're a bit more kind of like resolute, very clear kind of lawful personalities almost, and kind of clan-based mentalities. And so it almost seems like if you're going for the warrior type, that would be the dragonborn type. And it seems like the human would actually be more towards that actually like totem warrior type thing of like that spiritual thing. So just that to put out there, because it just seems like the dragonborn narratively as characters are not as much, not all kind of. No, like, I mean, of course they probably are spiritual, but like I don't know. It seems like
it's just for me. It's
like
just it kind of claim, you know, and kind of focuses more on the combat orientation and stuff like that. Yeah. And I mean, I don't think. I guess that's one thing to check in the book is what's the main. Humans are all stats. That's right. Yes. So what's the Dragonborn bonus again?
The Dragonborn is +2 strength, +1 charisma, and I will double check that to see if I got.
And that makes more sense for a warrior type to me. Human is going to, again, be on the totem, and a Dragonborn more so on the warrior aspect.
2 strength, 1 charisma.
Bam! That's how good I am.
You're a professional there.
Here,
I'm okay.
book.
Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you.
They also have much shorter lifespans than humans. Is a good, or not shorter, but quicker. Because they still live to be 80, but they at age 3 they're the size of a 10-year-old human child, and they're adults by 15.
And that and for that I think personally fits kind of well. And we do need a Dragonborn for this campaign still.
Plus they're huge. They're over 6 feet tall, weigh 250 pounds.
So
and still considered a medium creature.
The only thing I'm waiting for is anyone weighed in on Joel? Anything in regards to the barbarian? Should it be a human or should it be a Dragonborn? Anyone over there?
I think
I'm leaning towards Dragonborn.
As much as it sounds super duper too pop culture, I'm still gonna lean Dragonborn. Like the idea.
It sounds cool.
Because here's the funny thing. You have not heard about what kind of monk I want to be yet, necessarily. I think a few of you do. But that monk is super pop culture, too. And I'm totally loving it.
Is
I don't
it
fucking
Mr.
care.
Clean?
It is not Mr. Clean. It is quite the opposite. Well, actually, I could shave my head.
Okay.
That's very
Mr. Clean.
I get it.
So, anyone offline have any way? Or am I setting this in stone? Is this going to be a Dragonborn here?
Dragonborn. We want to characters, so let's do.
I'm pretty sure it will happen, and I think this is a cool one for it.
And we're okay with that.
Yeah, and plus, it is a little metagamey, it still works so well.
And that's what I think helps those. The DM needs to weigh in on these things so it can help flow with the story of it up a little bit more. Yeah. Whether the barbarian is in this or not, you know.
Exactly.
Like, I will roll for sex. I think because it works either way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do. What were you guys doing? Evens?
No. We were doing.
Oh, where's your precision?
You can
dice?
do it how. You know what?
Guys,
You
if
can
you
do
want
it however you want. We were doing it with like a greater chance of male.
Yeah, 1 and 2 was female, and then
4, 5,
3. Yeah,
3, 4, 5, and 6 were male. Just
So we
because
did
figured
greater
there's
chance of
there's a
male,
larger
so-
statistical average of a male adventurer over a female adventurer.
Okay.
Also, I just pretty much did it just because, well, like, you know, again, I'm just a male player, so I'm just like, whatever, I'll just have the averages more towards being the sex that I am, just because it's easier. Yes, I'm a lazy role player.
but you make it up with a beer.
Cool.
Make it up with a beard.
Well, I think the other thing to
You wanna
consider
see
while we do that is look at the classes that we're choosing. I mean, yeah, human adventurers versus, elven adventurers. Like, is it going to be more male or is it going to be 50-50, you know? Like, let's look at the classes and the races and what they're about before we make that too.
Elves, can you really tell?
Also, I really like how they talked about, let me get... There's a really cool thing in the character creation. Or no, actually it was, hold on. It was in backgrounds and just,
They say that kind of thing.
let me get to it.
All right.
They had a really cool thing in the book where they really they laid it out in terms of like making characters of different sexes and genders, and it was very cool.
I think I can do a 4th mobile camp.
You probably could, but let's just hold off on
No,
it.
no, we'll hold on. I just had a
Personality background.
I just had an
All right,
apostrophe.
I'm going to do a 1 to 2. I think it makes more sense for a
Here it
barbarian,
is.
but I mean, I am happy to play a female, so we'll see what comes up
I
here.
really like this. You can
Okay, male.
male. You can play a male or female character without gaining any special benefits or hindrances. Think about how your character does or does not conform to the broader culture's expectations of sex, gender, and sexual behavior. For example, the cleric defies the traditional gender divisions of drow society, which could be a reason for your character to leave that society and come to the surface. Whatever, we're not doing drow. Anyway, you don't need to be confined to binary notions of sex and gender.
Mhm.
The elf god Corellon Larethian, I didn't know about this, is often seen as androgynous or hermaphroditic, for example. And some elves in the multiverse are made in Corellon's image. You could also play a female character himself as a man who feels trapped in a female body, or a bearded female dwarf who hates being mistaken for a male. Likewise, your character's sexual orientation is for you to decide. Like, ooh, that's so cool!
Yeah.
Burn
That's- I love
Nintendo. D&D has your number on sexual equality.
Well, one of the things I thought was a really interesting idea for a Dragonborn character was a Dragonborn character who refuses to identify their gender. Because one of the things
they're
they
lizards,
had,
you can't
yeah,
tell.
one of the things they had in
Yeah.
4th
It's
edition-
harder to tell.
One of the things they had in 4th edition were dragons, and the females had bumps on their chests.
Oh.
They're lizards.
Yeah.
They don't have
Have
breasts.
breasts.
I like that. Actually, I really
Yeah.
like
So I
that.
think-
Mark,
It's like somebody walks up and says,
Well,
"What gender are you?" They go, "Why does it matter?"
I will argue though the Dragonborn.
Sex?
Yeah, but
No,
the
doesn't
Dragonborn
matter.
are mixed technically. They are like the.
Yes,
They're not just full
might not.
dragon.
I
They
know,
are.
I
The,
know.
it's the ancestry aspect.
That's I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
And
That's
so I
why.
get why, but I also agree with that. I don't
Yeah.
like the very simplistic. Because of their features,
And
I would rather have it be like I don't ever know until I get to talk to them, and that
Not
defines
to mention,
more.
if you like oftentimes the Dragonborns were warlords or paladins or things that wore heavy armor, and it's like, the armor's probably not in the script. You can't tell anyway.
Yeah.
Looking at them.
If you have armor that accentuates your features for your gender, it's probably going to hinder you in combat more than
Well, I mean, the other thing is we think about this societally, and it's like, these are reptilian, mostly mammals. So there's going to be a lot of, like, mistranslations and miscommunications where mammalian creatures are going to have a difficult time even, like in that little flavor text that you read, like, they have a difficult time even reading these Dragonborn expressions because they have reptilian faces. It's kind of hard to read a reptilian face. They're not like, like, they're not really like... They're not really like the ape creatures that everything
Yeah,
else
and
basically
for-
is.
I think- and
watching
that's-
Julia Roberts.
And that's how I feel like if it's born, it's easy for them to identify sex. But any other race, it's just difficult right off the bat. And it's like you just kind of assume like I just don't know, and just gonna go about like, okay, who is this?
It would be like seeing a bird creature. Like, you can't really read
Oh,
their
yeah.
expression on their beak, and you can't really see them.
They don't have
Um,
lipstick on their beak or anything.
Playing a tiefling, I feel like, at least from how I've seen them portrayed, heavily sexualized, really distinct
Always.
features, because they
Who doesn't like a succubus?
exactly.
Every image always just has them looking absurd. So I mean, also that could be something to play
That's
with.
the other thing though
because,
with the tieflings though is they are demonic. They are humans with real demon ancestry, and so that's very prolific in their appearance, and that's why they're shunned by human societies and everyone else because they're assumed to be evil.
Well,
So
I just
for
mean
me,
like
that
whenever
it
there's
works
images,
more.
it's like them where they're just like in like scanty bikinis and stuff, and it's like,
Oh yeah. Over here
This
looks
is
good.
yeah.
This actually is
Over here.
probably one of the more modest portrayals of a tiefling that I've seen.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
She's
and
wearing
and that's
clothing.
what she looks like here. Like I mean,
Wearing mostly clothing.
yeah, and like
Like-
she is here too. Like it looks great, and then you've got the
So
tail.
one thing I did skip was reading the flavor text for the tiefling. But you do see the way people look at you, devil's child. Those black eyes, cold as a winter storm, were staring right into her heart, and the sudden serious in his voice jolted her. What is it they say? He asked. One's a curiosity, two's a conspiracy. Three's a curse, she finished. You think I haven't heard that rubbish before? I know you have. When she glared at him, he added, It's not as if I'm plumbing the depths of your mind, dear girl. That is the burden of every tiefling. Some break under it. Some make it the millstone around their neck. Some revel in it. He tilted his head again, scrutinizing the glint in his eyes. You fight it, don't you? Like a little wildcat, I wager. Every little jab and comment just sharpens your claws.
So I've got mine. I got to roll for stats, but I'm sure we can pause for that while we wrap up Joel's character, right?
Joel?
Yeah.
So we're going to do Druid.
Yes.
What race were you thinking for Druid?
That is a very good question. I was thinking standard human.
Okay, we don't
but-
have a human yet, so that works.
Yeah, I figured that with all, it would be nice to have something basic, but at the same time, the tiefling is
I
close
will
to
say,
human.
the gnomes,
It's got half
the
elf,
gnomes
too.
seem very druidic in this version. They
There's
seem a lot
forest
more
gnomes.
like elves than like halflings, which is
Well,
kind of
what
cool.
is,
So what about an
where's
elf
that
in this case,
really
too?
awesome thing that shows us like
Like
if you
a-
wanna
an
be
elf
this,
as
then
a
you should probably
druid?
go for this. It's got better stats for it.
It's probably I don't remember it actually talking about race, but it did have
Weren't you talking about that?
here's the
Which one?
druid build thing here, but it doesn't
I
mention
don't know
anything.
If, I don't
it
know
just
if the classes say race. I know that
Well,
they
where
they
was
say
that
stats.
chapter
Huh?
that we were talking? The one that you showed me when we were at dinner the other night, where it says, if you want to be this, then you should probably be this race.
It either says it by the race or it says it by the class. It's one of the two. It's just suggested builds.
Oh, okay, I think it might be race,
Let's see.
actually.
Under class druid,
oh
creating a druid.
wait,
I
it's
got
like
this
under the race section.
ability score summary table that gives.
Does it have races on it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
Where-
That's it.
Oh, yeah, what page?
Is it this one?
Yeah, I'm
12.
pretty sure that's
12?
it. 12? Cool.
Oh wow, that's not lower.
That's really close. I know it was really
Oh, so it's in the
close.
pre-start area. There we go.
Is that what you were?
Oh,
looking
strength, dexterity, constitution. Yeah, here it is.
So this just shows the
Spiritual.
different stats.
Yeah, this just
Yeah.
shows the different stats. It doesn't show you which race necessarily.
Oh, true.
Oh, but honestly,
more
I'm
importantly,
less-
it's like wisdom.
Yeah,
probably
I'm
cleric,
personally,
cleric,
I'm less
that is.
interested in the
More
metagame
what
than
else?
just in
Human.
what character it sounds like.
Awesome.
Exactly. I think from right now, I would
I
say
think
a
a
human,
human.
a gnome, because apparently the
Yeah,
gnomes sound very
the gnomes
very in
descriptions
touch.
are more.
and then an elf. Like those are the three I would consider.
Well, as far
for
as my
this.
character, like concept, he works better, or she, I don't care, works better with a human.
Okay.
Go for it.
So
Let's do it.
I'd like to go.
Is
for
there
it.
any
That's
disagreement with that in chat?
Well,
Or any
we are
suggestions?
delayed at the point, but so I'm okay with changing it later if we have a need, but we'll move on for right now. But for right
Okay.
now, it's
Yeah,
human.
let's go.
They were
with that.
mentioning it because there is the forest
The
gnome,
chat
which
does have an ability to say, hey, maybe you should do that, and I'll be like, yeah, we
Okay.
can do that.
All right, so I'm going to describe a human. We're done. All right, let's move on.
It's a good description. Well done.
So roll for your sex.
Pinky skin. Okay, so what
this-
do I roll for my
We were rolling a d6, in this case a 1 and a 2. I think a druid, though, seems like it's going to be 50-50.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I would
yeah.
roll 50-50
I
on
would-
this.
In,
I
in
could
fact,
totally
in
roll
fact, I would
50-50.
say more of a 60-40 in favor of female, or 60-40
Yeah.
in favor of females, because Druidic culture was matriarchal,
Mm-hmm.
and
that's very true.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
So one
So-
and two is male, and then the rest is female.
1 and 2. Yeah, 1 and
Yeah.
2 is male. Rest is female.
I like
Alright,
that
there we
description
go.
for humans. Everyone's second best friends.
It is 5, so that means
It's female.
All right.
Female. So what's our ratio?
2 and 2 actually.
Oh,
It's
cool.
Males are on the top, surprisingly, and females ended up on the bottom on this. Just this chart we set
Well,
up
that's-
somehow.
That's
I have
gonna
no
happen.
idea how. But
Yeah.
so the only thing we need to do is stat rolls now.
Stat rolls, sick. Okay, cool.
Here it is.
Phil was like,
Crystal
humans
cast.
neat. Let's go with humans.
Dwarven metal.
There we go.
So are we gonna go back to you two so we have a chance to pause and look over the books too, and then you can go back to them? Okay.
Let's go do stats. Did you want to do just roll that one?
I think I'm
times?
gonna just roll it 4 times.
Okay.
You can borrow some of my dice, but they're cursed. So
I also have the barbarian
They're tainted.
dice, which are.
Oh, those are actual barbarian dice.
These are dice that I used exclusively. Damaramu. that
I'm gonna
served
switch
him
out.
Quite
Damaramu.
well.
I'm gonna switch out just because
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
used them for
I
a
know
barbarian,
that
I
one.
feel like these should be rolled for a barbarian for better or for worse.
I know that name Damaramu well.
The great Damaramu can never be defeated.
All right.
Oh, by the way, anybody in chat, if you see my hand go up next to the camera, I am
Ooh,
calibrating it.
that was
That's what I
terrible.
It's a 10.
Huh?
It's a 10.
Oh, is this a 4?
That's a 6.
Oh, this is a 6?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
okay,
So if you see those at the
6, 8, 10. So
I got 10. That's good.
it's not bad.
Yeah.
10.
Those are both 6s, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's
Whoa.
12, 15.
A
That's
15.
a max.
Actually, you're starting pretty good.
Oh.
This is how much one.
And there's the bad. There's a start to the bad. So there's an 8.
Coin.
I would actually be down if we actually.
Whew.
Whoa.
That's 10, 16.
And you're complaining about roll.
Well, no,
Oh,
I
you
got the 8. That's why I said I was
Okay,
like, this
so
is the
this is a
start.
balanced. This is a balanced rollout. So
Yeah,
far.
so far. We'll see what these next two do. 10. And 2, 3, 4, 5, so one more. That just beat it. That was a 12.
That's nice.
Wow, that was actually an exceptionally
That's
good roll.
those are nice rolls.
Wow.
What I'm at least seeing, especially since we're talking about Dragonborn and being difficult to read and difficult, and kind of dealing with all these mammalian races, you might have an 8 for the charisma. Like, you don't care, you don't want to deal with people
Very
sexy, and you're like,
Yeah.
lizard face. Like,
Dead-
are you
deadpan.
glaring right now? I think it's glaring at me.
The only weakness to that metagame wise is that the barbarians rely on intimidation aspects, and that is a charisma base.
Is it charisma or is
It
it
is.
strength?
It's charisma.
Strength is primary. Strength and con are their saving.
Yeah, but
throws,
for intimidation purposes, they rely on charisma.
Is intimidation still a charisma skill?
Yes,
or could it be
it
a
is.
strength?
Because you could do one of the barbarian, at least in 3.5, you could do strength-based intimidation.
I don't think they have it in this.
No, it's not. No, it's not like that. They did I mean, and one thing I do love about this, and it's a brand new system, and there isn't just a ton of material out yet. So like, if you think, oh, Pathfinder, and it has all this stuff, and it's like it's cool for customization, and they're gonna probably slowly roll a lot of that into here with that, but it's not overwhelming.
Right.
And I have a feeling with the we added like 10 or 12 new feats. It's not gonna be like we added like 100 new feats. Like Pathfinder essentially did. It's going to be it's going to have the expansion options, but it's not going to be overwhelming like they did with Pathfinder and 3.5.
I imagine
you're
they'll
right.
probably
Intimidation
introduce
is charisma.
psionics at some point. There's a few psionic races that.
Oh, you're right. They will probably eventually.
they've
have to
got,
have scion stuff.
in this version specifically, monks and sorcerers already have aspects that are like the original psionics in that they have. That they spend to empower their abilities.
Oh yeah.
Key points and
the sorcerer thing is so
metamagic
cool.
points.
Yeah.
And you said for Dragonborn, it is 2 to strength and 1 to
Strength,
charisma.
1 to charisma.
So plus
You
2.
also were going to do cold for your draconic aspect.
I do not know yet. I did not. I did not look at it
Okay.
and see which base I'm going to go with yet.
So cold is silver and white. So silver dragons being good, white dragons being evil.
Mhm.
That's specifically you get cold resistance and cold breath attacks.
You know, actually, to be honest, I think it should be cold if this is
From
from a
the
northern area
yeah.
moving south into the Neverwinter area and stuff like that. It makes more
So you're
sense.
just like you're like, what are you guys? You guys are big babies. You're weak against all this cold.
Yeah.
Whatevs.
So I think a cold makes more sense for the character and its
So then it's
origin.
Just kind of like Draconic Ancestry. I figure kind of determines your coloration a little bit.
yeah, and so it's going to be a silver, right?
Yeah, silver is
blue.
Well, blue is lightning, but I mean, it really the color of your skin doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be whatever. I don't care. It's just more just the draconic aspect.
Yeah.
Is silver or white.
So
Silvery sounds
I like
cool.
silver and white, so I'm gonna just put
That sounds cool.
silver, white next to that. Phew.
Update on our bard. He's 6'2".
Whoa!
Rolls for the
That's
for the height
awesome.
variation.
Nice.
He got 6'2". Okay,
That's awesome.
that works. It would have worked either way. I was thinking he's gonna be hella tall or he's gonna be hella short,
So
and
what
that
we
would have
did,
been hilarious either way. It would have been good.
what we did, Joel, was we paused after the roll, so I had time to look over and think about it. So you can roll and do your stats.
All right, cool. So, it's all. I need more sixes because I have no.
You can use mine if you want. They're
Sure.
cursed,
Oh, they're cursed. Oh
but
shit.
that's okay.
That would be
You
good.
can work There you
height.
go.
So,
You're
It's-
6'2". Wait, you're
Wait,
6'2".
you roll 4? Oh yeah, 6'2". Oh, you roll 4. Okay,
I
you
roll
roll 4.
46.
Yeah, okay.
And then you
This
ignore
one's
the,
the
you
crap
ignore the
one, anyway.
lowest.
and I ignore the lowest.
Yes.
Got
And
it.
you do that 6 times, right?
Yeah. All right.
Woo!
Sorry, I got it.
Crazy
Yeah,
cameras.
Whoa!
You're like shaking it.
Whoa! Wacky
With, we got hit
shit.
by a torpedo. All right. That's a 1. Oh, that's not good. Okay,
It's a
10.
10.
Ouch.
No, the 10s are good.
That's an average.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
10 to
average,
12 is
that's fair.
average.
No bet. You just get a straight roll for that. That's
Cool.
fine for whatever stat that is. Straight roll.
All right. Ooh, nice. Shit. I got
15.
6, 4, and 5. Sorry, I swore again.
We can have one of those every
Yeah.
once in a
No,
while.
we-
I mean, prefer not, but you know,
Prefer not.
it'll happen.
It'll do things will happen. All right. 6, 5, and 2.
13.
13.
Poop yeah.
I tend to use
Poop
diddly-
yeah.
I tend to use diddlies like Flanders.
Ah,
Diddly darn it.
concern it.
There it is.
Oh, not that good.
8.
Barbara
Oh,
Walters.
that's not. That's
Barbara Walters.
almost exactly the same way I did, except for this one they
Oh
switched.
yeah?
Yeah.
I need one more, right?
No,
A
2
10,
more.
15.
Oh, 2 more. Oh wait. 5, 2, and 3.
Another 10.
One more die.
Another
looking
really. Oh,
pretty-
thank you.
It's kind of cool though. We actually all ended up having pretty
Oh,
average.
9.
It's
That's
really-
actually, that's a pretty good balance.
Yeah.
roll out.
It's balanced. We
So-
all ended.
stat by, you
Hmm.
could max end up with 3 15s and 3 8s.
Oh, nice.
So that gives you kind of an idea of where you'd be. I think most of these are basically what you could make with a stat by, except
Yeah,
for
right.
except for maybe his with that 4 it kind of
Yeah.
unbalances a little bit.
Mm.
But that's what makes the characters interesting.
Yeah.
I know that's going to be funny because now we have this clumsy cleric. It's like,
Okay, guys,
things.
we need to all cross this rope bridge. Make dexterity checks.
Oh,
I have
I
a
wanna see
feeling
this.
people the cleric just for the fact that it's a tiefling cleric and it's super clumsy with one of the lowest stats rolled in this game so far.
And then there's gonna be,
when it
like,
died,
what-
it lost its tail. So it's super clumsy now because it doesn't have its
Oh
tail.
my God, awesome.
That could work.
That would make total sense.
And then you have to
Or even
ask for
wings.
divine
If it
intervention
lost
when
its
like when you're trying to like climb a slippery slope or something.
I'm thinking dexterity goes, just not trying to go there. Like, so we're gonna scale the side of this pillar. No, I don't. I don't do that.
No,
That's not
I'm
mine.
good at cast
That ain't-
levitate.
Peter,
Later.
Peter, you and I actually got the highest stat rolls.
Yeah.
Like yours and I
This
are
actually
literally
worked
pretty
pretty
much
well.
the same. Like I have one lower, and then I have technically one higher.
I'm
But I
kinda-
can't. This doesn't count because
I'm glad for once I actually got higher rolls because at least like conception where I was like, okay, this character does need to like. It's not as much of a joke character as I normally do because I'm normally just resigned. I'm just like it's just gonna be bad rolls. So let's just make a kind of silly character. But this is actually like, okay, this works. This is actually a character that can like be decent in combat and do that kind of stuff. Like, cool. That's kind of how it works.
and so Joel, one thing that humans do get, and just so you know, I mean, it makes
oh
your
yeah,
stats.
+1 to everything.
It's just +1 to everything.
Oh,
so
sick.
yours are done. Everything.
Awesome.
Just yeah, you can just put +1. You could just put like +1s. That's what I did for
Yeah.
these.
Okay.
I mean, so it doesn't matter what anything. Oh, I guess you usually got to choose
Wait,
what
I'm
you want.
confused.
Oh, wait,
oh
there's
yeah,
the
yeah.
difference.
All
Yeah.
this is a +1, so you just need to choose which stat you want to be what now.
Yeah, which ones would make sense? And so I think it's wisdom.
Why
is
don't
your
we change it
spell.
right now to do +1?
You want everything to look as a +1?
I mean, it looks easier, and if it's already a +1, just being human, it's not like.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, you can just put the +1s there. And
On your first quest, you meet a crazy wizard who turns you into a frog. You're like, what the fuck? All your stats are reduced by 5
Aw.
each. Only 5. Wow, that's not bad.
For being such a big jerk.
Yeah.
That's why.
so the thing to then the thing to think about then is what kind of druid is this? What kind of druid would you want to play as? Would it be a druid that's focused on like basically turning into animals and fighting things? Because it's like you choose the circle at 2nd level. And
Oh,
basically
crazy.
it's a circle where it's like one is focused on it's the circle of let's see what are these circles? Circle of the land, where then you also choose a specific like so that character in terms of like are you focused in a very specific like part of the land, or are you focused more on the land, and that would be character kind of min-max thinking just basically that's about spell casting, or are you focused on animals and a connection with animals, and then that's more of kind of like shape-shifting and kind of that kind of like physical combat type of thing.
I feel that the character that I've come up with would be more of a person, not an animal person. Not to say that they wouldn't have a connection with animals. It would just be the land is more attuned, I suppose, would be.
Wait. So I thought one was combat oriented and one was more
And it is. It's kind
spiritual.
of. It is kind of more spiritual.
Oh, I want the spiritual
Well,
one.
yeah, and it's spiritual, and
Is that
that's the land
one?
thing.
Okay, good.
And
That's
then
what I
it's
thought. They kind of
It's
figured that
focused
would be
on like
I
what.
want.
I think like let's see here. The circle of the land is made up of who safeguard ancient knowledge and rites through a vast oral tradition. These druids meet within sacred circles of trees or standing stones to whisper primal secrets in druidic. The circle's wisest members preside as the chief priests of communities that hold to the old faith and serve as advisors to the rulers of these folk. As a member of this circle, your magic is influenced by the land where you were initiated into the circle's mysterious rites. And so then you have a choice there, and this is based on your backstory, essentially. Arctic, which it sounds like we're more in like the north.
No, mine came from the north. Like, if you look at the Neverwinter picture, actually, I guess I should go get Darby to grab the book right now. This is where the barbarians come from. Generally, is super far north, so it doesn't really take place where this world where it's going
Okay.
on. They're migrating and they're looking for adventure when this usually happens, and that's
Well,
what the barbarians aspect is. The
so this
druids
druid
don't
character
necessarily
might
have
have-
to come from there.
Yeah, but
they
it could
could
have, 'cause
but
there's
they
the
could have
Arctic.
because there is the Arctic.
There's the Arctic, so it came from like the North
Right.
Arctic.
Knowing that, it also fits with my character. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm like, I don't feel that my character comes from the north. You'll see where my character
Okay.
comes from.
So you have the choice of the Arctic, the coast, the desert, the forest, the grassland, the mountain, the swamp, the Underdark, as in like underground and stuff. Which, but so like, and I would think about just now thinking about the character and which idea works for you. And they have different spells and different stuff that they kind of focus on, but it's just like a little bit. where like the mountain has spells where you can like spider climb, like you can move on walls and stuff, and stone shape and stone-based things.
So I'm gonna put this right here for a second. Let's see if I can get a good.
The
right
desert
here.
has stuff for like surviving in the desert, create food and
What
water.
did you say? What is the Underdark again? Like, what is that?
The Underdark is like, I mean, honestly, that would probably be like that would be probably more aligned with like a drow druid or something. But it's
Oh,
someone
that's
who's
what
like
that-
in that area where there's like
It's like-
it's under the underground.
Oh,
So,
okay.
to explain kind of the world in which this is taking place, if you've played Baldur's Gate, this is that world.
Okay.
This is the world of the Forgotten Realms, specifically the Sword Coast.
Is it, and yeah, what's the world called?
So here you
Faerun?
go.
Is it Faerun?
So here's your
believe so,
different
yes.
regions in regards to that. So I already put it up on the camera,
Oh, yeah.
but it's good that you
Oh,
show it again.
Neverwinter, cool.
Oh, sweet.
So as barbarian, migrating from up over here in the ice winds and further up here. So if that's something to consider, if you're going to be a like, was it you said an Arctic druid?
There's Arctic,
It's
but then
coming
there's
from
also
there.
the coast. This is a desert, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
Is there
that's
actually
the desert.
oh,
There's a bunch of campaign sensitive stuff on the other
Oh,
page.
good.
Not
man.
looking at that. I think
I mean, no one was.
Is this
Yeah.
a desert over here? Like this might be a desert.
Yes, there is a desert. There's
So
actually
you
stuff
could
on
come
the
from
side
the
of the
desert.
desert too.
This is of course all the
this is just where
grassland,
this campaign.
the mountain,
Exactly.
the swamp. So it
I
just depends on like
feel-
what kind of land that you are associated with. Where did you come from?
And
Where
here's
did
the
you
other
initiate?
thing.
What is? Sorry, real quick. What is hallucinatory terrain as a spell?
I have no clue.
It's you.
And what's dream as a spell?
Let's go ahead and look them up.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Joel, just real quick,
Those are pretty much the only two
to,
that I'm
to
looking
get a
at.
feel for your
I can look 'em up,
character.
too.
Is it hallucinatory or illusionary?
Hallucinatory terrain.
Go ahead and ask your question.
Where did you come from? Where did you go, Cotton Eye Joe?
Cotton Eye Joe.
So, and here's the other thing to consider, and I don't know what Darby's ruling's gonna be on this as a DM, but it does say that your changing shape forms is based off of the creatures that you've encountered. So the area and the region you choose from are gonna be the things you can morph into, I would argue.
Wolf is default
Okay.
because
Yeah.
at some wolves live in almost
Live in-
every single
yeah.
environment on Earth. You've at some point. And it's also one of the recommended, and it's also one of the
Yeah.
few 1/4 level or 1/4
Mhm.
encounter level monsters. So casting time is 10 minutes, range of 300 feet, requires a verbal, semantic, and material component.
Oh, sorry.
Duration is 24 hours. You make natural terrain in a 150-foot cube in range.
Whoa.
Look, sound, and smell like some other sort of natural terrain.
Oh, cool.
Thus, open fields or a road can be made to resemble a swamp, hill, crevasse, or passable terrain. A pond can be made to seem like a grassy meadow, a precipice like a gentle slope.
And this is a 7th level spell, so it's like
Yeah.
it's a high level spell.
Really high, yeah.
Fourth level.
Really?
4th level illusion.
Oh, because it's a 7th level druid that
Yes.
gets. Oh, okay.
Oh,
I see,
okay.
I get it.
But you have to remember, this is the tradition of 2nd level spells aren't gotten until level 3, and 3rd level spells aren't acquired until level 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And so let's say the tactile characteristics of terrain. So creatures entering the area are likely to see through the illusion if the difference isn't obvious by touch. So if you, for example, created a sunny meadow in the middle of a frozen wasteland, people are going to notice. And it can be broken, etc. It's basically just a disguise spell if you, for some reason, I'm sure you could find a use for it. The other one was Dream.
Yeah.
I've got it
He
here
found it.
actually. This spell shapes a creature's dreams. Super cool for like roleplay. Choose a creature known to you as the target of the spell. Just know it must be on the same plane of existence as you. So this is anybody you know.
That's it. That's it. I'm grassland. That's it.
Okay. Do you want Dream?
Creatures
Yeah.
that don't sleep, such as elves, can't be contacted by the spell. You or a willing creature you touch enters a trance state, acting as a messenger. Oh, okay, so you can do it, or you can do it with somebody else. Like, hey, send this dream message. While in the trance,
So
the
do you-
messenger is aware of his or her surroundings, but can't take
What is
action.
it? It should be grassland.
Well, let's say you're given a mission by a lord away, and you need to send a message back to
Yeah.
the lord. This is a quick way in which you can do that. You enter his dreams and say, "Hey, buddy, we completed the quest," and you can show him images of where you are.
What is going on in here?
If the target is asleep, like, whoa, you're having a weird dream, dude. If the target is asleep, the messenger appears in the target's dream and can converse with the target as long as it remains asleep. Hopefully it's not a sex dream. Through the duration of the spell. The messenger can also shape the environment. creating landscapes, objects, and other images. The messenger can emerge from the trance at any time, ending the effect of the spell early. The target recalls the dream perfectly upon waking. If the target is awake when you cast a spell, the messenger knows it and can either end the trance and the spell or wait for the target to fall asleep, at which point...
Are we not monitoring the chat anymore?
Oh, I am. Sorry.
Okay.
I just
Jeez.
I
You can...
focused on my character, so sorry.
You can make the messenger appear monstrous to the target. If you do, the messenger can deliver a message of no more than 10 words, and then the target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save.
Wait, sorry. Go back to that last paragraph.
You can make the messenger appear monstrous and terrifying to the target, and if you do so, the messenger has to say only no more than 10 words. Soon. Yes.
Tonight.
You. On a failed save, they have to make a wisdom saving throw, and on a failed save, echoes of the phantasmal monstrosity spawn a nightmare that lasts the duration of the target's sleep and prevents the target from gaining any benefit from that rest. In addition, when they wake up, they take 3d6 psychic damage.
I really wish you were an evil druid because you could just troll the party by doing that when people
I know,
upset
right?
you.
If you have a body part, lock of hair, clipping from a nail, or target's body, the target makes its saving throw with disadvantage.
Yes.
So-
real quick, is anybody here a thief?
No, but you can be. That's the greatest part
Oh,
about
we're
a
gonna
druid.
we'll make a rogue.
With your ability
Oh,
to transform, you could turn into a rat. And you could just nibble and bite someone and steal something from them. So, like, it relies on you that you can do some of those things.
Perfect.
And
Oh
that's
my
what's
God.
so great about the druid is it has
This
that
sucks
versatility.
because I want to be my monk because I fucking love
Well, that's
my
the.
monk.
Well, here's the thing, though. All these characters are going to be chosen by our viewers, and they're going to vote
Yeah,
for the top
no,
four.
it's absolutely. But
Yeah,
you
it's
guys are
making
gonna
these
love.
characters.
You're gonna love all of our
nice.
characters. It's
I
gonna be
love
hard
all the
for you to
characters
do.
already.
It's gonna be up
You
to
said
you.
It's
ping
rough.
Is one of the fundamentals.
Okay, cool.
And
So you're just keeping that in mind that you're going to be doing Circle of the Land, you're going to do Grassland. Okay,
Yeah.
we got that down.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
grassland. Circle of the land. What is that?
Sunshine.
It's just like at second
Oh,
level you
that's-
just choose. You basically choose between two paths.
Oh,
and
that's
they're
right.
like two
Animist
circles.
or circle, right?
Essentially, yeah. Land, you're doing land,
So-
which is more spellcasty, and
So
grassland.
grassland is automatically a circle of the land, so we know that just
Yeah,
by
yeah,
that.
yeah, we would
If,
know that.
if you go into that moon thing, I'm going with the sun. We'll go toe to toe. I don't care.
You know it.
You just gotta put Berserker.
My love for you is like a truck
Berserker.
We're not going to sing the second line.
Berserker.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Good
call. Oh, actually, why don't you write Valor here? Just because. Well, it should be obvious, but whatever.
No, it's good, I think. So, Valor?
Yeah, that's the school, but that's at like 3rd level. So it's
No,
like
I did the same. Mine still, but it shows what path. Because this is the important part about character creation is knowing where
You
your
do have
character
to think
level
about
ups
like which
into.
path, because there
Because-
seem to be like very particular.
If you don't know what
paths
you're
going
doing,
on.
Exactly,
beforehand,
and
it gets bad.
It defines your past. So knowing where you're going and what kind of upbringing you're from. What's yours?
Like he's life doing.
Like
Oh yeah, put down life.
What's
So
up?
Deathmar is making a paladin at the moment. He can't really decide on which race though. Tossing up between human, dragonborn, or tiefling.
And
Dragonborn.
this is actually what we just
Dragonborn.
talked about was a dragonborn if you're running with this campaign, according to our DM here, a dragonborn is kind of essential to not essential, but it's gonna create a stronger story.
Yeah, your dungeon master should be able to have a really fun time with the Horde of the Dragon Queen if you're playing a dragon. A lot of, oddly enough, dragon-themed aspects to the adventure.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Worship Bahamut, Lord of the Dragons, just to make it even more dragony. I hate dragons, but you go for it.
I think I don't know. Tiefling for me as a paladin is very rough to go with, and but it can create a very
It has that
great
redemption
story.
story, like
and
Martin's
it can have
going
a
for
really
this cleric.
good and great story behind it.
Also, what Elmish paladin?
Oh, yeah. That would be that would be the most ridiculous
two words
thing
for
ever.
you kids at home here. Tower shields. Think about it.
No big tower
Full
shield.
coverage.
You
Full
mean
coverage.
regular shields, don't you?
Just holding it with 2 hands. Take this evil.
It also
You'll never-
works as a sled.
What was the other one? It was
A toboggan, if you will.
what was the third race?
For 2 or more nodes.
What was the third race?
Human, I think.
Human.
yeah.
I don't know. For me, humans fall into a very
Bland.
It's a
category.
bland, and it's very. For me, it's cliche, and I like to explore the other races just because humans. I don't know. They tend to, unless it really fits with your storyline and your
That's the
setting.
only reason that I tend to go with humans is that if it only fits with story.
Yeah,
Like, that's-
and for me, like in a custom campaign we ran with 3.5, I went with human for a samurai, just because the other races just didn't feel right, and it felt like
samurai.
No.
A dwarf doesn't make sense as a samurai.
Yeah, and, like,
gnome isn't a
it's-
samurai.
for me it just felt like it needed to be a human, and they had, and
Yeah.
mine evolved
A
and had
dragonborn.
ancestry of dragonborn essentially, which kind of felt right because if you have that dragonborn blood, it leans you towards a certain alignment type as well. And that was a big impact in our world as well in that custom campaign, was the dragons essentially ruling and dictating what was happening, because they were a force that was locked away and was so it kind of shifted the character's alignment as the blood was reawakening as well, which I thought was great. And so human, I feel like, is one of those very bland and simplistic role-playing elements when you can have more fun with the tiefling. And no, for certain character classes, yeah. Or like a paladin, it's like they're just classic and known, like where an NPC is going to be a human paladin.
Right.
And so it gives you more flexibility and more role-playing fun, essentially, or a dragonborn.
Yeah. So I think the unanimousness of the table has stated Dragonborn. So go with Dragonborn.
Sounds like a big
I think you will be pleasantly surprised.
Plus, it
Or
works in the
not
metagame
pleasantly
because the
surprised.
stats all add up for it. So,
You'll
you
just
know.
be pleasant.
There's that.
You know, not surprised because you just know that it's awesome. I don't really know what I'm saying anymore.
Plus, you can
Go
breathe
back over
fire.
here now. What?
Plus, you can breathe fire.
Plus you
Anything
Any
that you
element?
choose a
Or
color.
acid
Yeah, whatever you
or-
choose your alignment to be, essentially, like, because the colors match
I
the
want to
dragon
breathe
again.
light. Can I breathe light?
Lighten.
I,
Lighten.
I would go with acid and just make it like you have really bad indigestion and just.
So that would be a super
No.
uncharismatic, I think.
I want to have it a straw in my mouth and just
Paladin.
have it go up to my top of my head and then just look like Master Shake every time that it.
Oh.
Dragonborn with fin flaps.
Yes. Oh man, I want to play in your campaign now.
Are they? What we got to roll our
No,
paladins?
we do.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna roll David Attenborough.
That may fall on the monk though. That
Absolutely.
same time frame. I don't know. I don't remember the schedule. perfectly in my mind.
I think it
Who's
falls in the
interested?
monk. I can't remember.
Which means you won't be able to roll both.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Fighter
Because you'll
mode,
be rolling the
Paladin,
monk,
Ranger,
so
and then Rogue
someone else will
Sorcerer,
roll the
Wizard,
paladin.
It won't be me. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I'm. What? I only chose 2 classes though.
We're,
What's my
we're
third?
just doing it in
We're just doing it in order.
chunks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm just wondering what my third was because
Oh,
I
wow.
remember I chose.
We didn't really choose anything yet.
Oh, we
you just
didn't.
said you were
Oh, we
so
didn't.
interested in
Yeah.
doing a monk. That way we're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we'll just.
Yeah,
have
if there's
So I
certain
just
ones
claimed
people
Druid
want to
and
do,
monk,
then
but
we'll just-
okay.
And for me, I
That's
don't
fine.
care. I just want to create and have fun.
I love
so like, I'll do
creating,
any of them.
So even if it's something that I have no idea, I'm like, you
Peter-
chose barbarian. Okay, let's do.
I am slightly worried though, as we create these characters, that the community wants to troll, and I'm totally fine with it because it'd be so funny to deal with. They take out all our healers aspects,
Just
so we're
nothing
just
but warriors.
yeah. There's just nothing but warriors. So it's like, can we buy a health potion? Darby's like, they don't exist in this town.
You're all gonna.
So you
die.
have
You're all
to,
gonna
no,
die.
keep this in mind. You would have to make a barbarian, a fighter, a monk, and a ranger, or possibly get rid of the monk in favor of the rogue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd probably work.
But then you could just, I don't know, steal potions.
Yeah. Well, then we get caught, and then it's just like the entire town collapses on us as they try to arrest us, and we're done in jail again. That's the
Again.
campaign. It's actually, we don't actually prevent the Horde of or the Rise of Tiamat or anything like that. It's just we're just stuck in jail, and the campaign is ruined. That'd be great.
No, it just starts a new campaign.
Yeah, just so everyone knows,
The
it is
campaign
the
of jail.
what is it? It's the Tyranny of Dragons. Is the campaign is called. The first half is Horde of the Dragon Queen, which is the book that is currently released by Wizards of the Coast, and the next one comes out in October. So it's pretty close to here. I think it's October. Is it September?
Let's talk about it.
It's October, and that is the second half to this, which is the Rise of Tiamat, and that's the second half to this campaign here. That
Okay,
we
so
are on.
October is the second, so we might actually make it to that. Or
No, because we are not rolling and starting our campaign until the end of September.
You're right.
And that's going to happen. We will be quite far behind, most likely, but it's a good way to allow other players to
But
experience.
will be more
Oh,
entertaining.
like look
Yeah.
like a group.
It's
of
a good way to allow people to experience it without having any spoilers. So, it's been out for a long time for him.
would come in and
Dig it.
It's new for us, but hopefully not new
okay, actually,
necessary for everybody
one
out
sec.
there.
Got it.
So
Would you please
there
hand
will
me-
be spoilers in this,
Would you
unfortunately.
please hand me the adventure?
Yes, of course.
So now you should choose your stats while I'm working on.
Actually, let's go back to them so we have a chance to pause and really think it out. Because
Can
this
I
is.
get a character sheet so I can?
I do not print any out. I printed these from home.
Oh, never mind then. We'll find
I have these character sheets.
Yeah, use one of the old 5e sheets.
Yeah, that's fine.
I will say, and I haven't seen the ones that you have yet.
I'm down to do my digital because they have a.
Well, that's what I'm
app,
gonna.
right?
Well, that's the thing I want to do. Ideally, is once either scan them, and more likely I'll just type them up into the actual
I
document.
think we should type them all
Yeah, and
up
it'll look
then
really
we can
nice.
just throw them in.
But
Yeah.
I really do like, and I'll try to hold this up so people can see it. I really do enjoy the simplicity, but
they're of
the
all-
level
all
of detail
types.
all of these sheets do have on them.
Yeah.
The new
Yeah,
official
there's
Dungeons and Dragons 5.0 or 5e, I guess, where they're at character
Yeah,
sheets.
they're
They are
just- and
simplistic.
there's
They
monsters and
have
there's
a lot of
quests.
places though for good information, and it's very obvious on here and what it's doing. Because the ones they first initially released, I had a huge problem with. Just because the way the stats were set on there was hard to see, and then like your bonuses for your race were hard to put on. It was like, I need to put this here, but I need to put this here, and it's too small of a space, or there isn't a space. And this really fixed that, which I appreciate.
Okay, so we have everybody's stat blocks assigned.
No, they do. We're gonna do it
Okay,
while.
so
we
why
are
don't we go back
waiting.
to Bard and we'll have kind of background.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and roll up your backgrounds.
Okay. Do you want to do rolling, or I mean, because there are elements of the background that just kind of seem to just work well together for the character that's kind of being built.
Let's take a peek.
I mean, it's up to you. We could just do it random. Although I might, since I already have like an idea for a character, I might just kind of choose the ones that work, and then maybe for the next one, just kind of try just doing a random background, just roll.
I can't seem to find it. Okay, there we are.
Like I'm looking at.
Okay, so yeah, the flaw, for example, is flaw 1.
I'm doing like entertainer, yeah, and like
Yeah.
flaw, and like here for flaw, like I'm thinking it looks, or yeah, for the flaw, like D6 flaw, I could just roll for it. But for this character, it seems like
flaw 1.
but yeah, I'll do anything.
I'll
for
do anything for
fame.
fame, to win fame and renown.
I
Just
like
to
that.
interrupt really quick, Darby, where was the spot that described the like what intelligence and wisdom and all that stuff?
Chapter 73 is the beginning of that area.
Thank you.
Like a steel trap. Okay, so
I think
okay, so let's see. So yeah, so go ahead and for flaw, we'll just do flaw 1
for the
because that
bond,
makes sense.
and for the bond, I mean, I guess we could do random for bond, but I'm starting to think since he's like half orc, like I mean, it seems like maybe idolizing hero of old tales,
Yeah.
and that's kind of it's very half orcish, you know?
Hero of Old Tales, measured my
Because like I mean.
other members.
I'm thinking of like giving him a drum, but it's like I don't know. I mean, I guess he could be really attached to that drum. We could just make it random. It's
Well, I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to have an instrument, right? There's no requirement.
you don't even have to. I've just been
'Cause-
looking at like for entertainer background and for the bard background. Like you do start with instruments, and so I was like, whatever. Maybe like a drum or something. And like it can be used as a spellcasting focus. Right, and then you don't even need to use the instrument. Like you don't even need to have it.
Yeah, I mean, your spellcasting focus is your bracelet,
Yeah.
which is the mark of the gladiator. Or
Yeah.
something. I mean, it doesn't have to. Fast and loose with the rules.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess he could have a rival. I mean, so I mean, we could roll some of these randomly. What do you say?
I was trying to look at.
Richard Brutal.
Richard.
Kale was asking if that's what you were essentially rolling.
Actually, I gave him the name Check. Just check.
Just check.
So why don't we go ahead and roll for ideal?
Okay, let's roll. Yeah, because I'm actually I was already thinking, but then let's see what happens. Because I was already thinking of making him kind of chaotic neutral and thinking about that, but maybe we can just kind of see what happens. 4. Only in it for the money and fame. Okay.
For the fame.
So making a shift toward.
Okay, so we got personality traits as a D8.
Ideal 4, and actually that does work. He likes to play the bad guy because he's the bad guy.
So why don't we do the personality trait as well with a D8?
Yeah. Oh, D8. Let's see. Where's my D8? There it is. Let's see what his personality trait is.
Oh snap!
2.
Whenever I come to a new rumors and spread gossip,
Okay.
mostly about himself.
About himself. Have you heard? Have you heard that Check the
Star-Lord,
Bars in town?
man.
Star-Lord.
Have a villainous nickname you give
Doesn't
yourself.
matter.
Oh yeah, I think he needs to have a villainous nickname.
And
Make it know that.
He wants to be
missing
he wants to be
charisma.
notorious. So we have an ideal.
So my
So then we need a
totals.
bond.
Yeah, let's. I'll roll for the bond.
So maybe Bond should just
And-
be. I want to be famous, whatever it takes.
Yeah, maybe we should
Yeah,
just.
we'll just go with that.
8.
Go with what for Bond?
For Bond, his Bond is I want to be famous, whatever it takes.
Nice.
Okay, there we go. Actually, that's great.
That it fits perfectly.
I really
I'm
like this
really
rating
liking
system.
this.
Actually,
It's
actually,
good.
this is
Yeah,
this is
because
working.
you can roll random for a few, and then that shapes who the other ones will be.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that.
So how do you choose which? How many do you get to choose your actual like? You get to.
There's
say
no
out that one.
I mean, I just
Oh,
want
okay.
I want to do at least one or two random.
Yeah.
With his, I think we directly picked number 1.
Yeah.
Because we already knew who the character is. We have a basic idea.
Yeah.
So we picked one that was necessary for defining who that character was, and then we rolled some that didn't have something that was directly defining that character.
Yes.
And that helped
And it worked
shape
out.
him a little bit.
Did you want to see the book here, Joel, to look would help
So
define his
he's-
stats, or
I'll
neutral.
find it in a second. So 1 second.
I mean, he's almost chaotic neutral.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
like-
that's what I initially went
Yeah.
with. So maybe he's still kind
I go with chaotic
Yeah.
neutral because helping his fellow
I guess 'cause
man
they're
and
suggesting-
saving innocence. I mean, it could be.
It's
of
all
in it for the
benefits.
money and fame, but that can
Yeah,
okay,
it's
yeah,
all
so-
about his notoriety. He's not in it to be cruel. He's not in it to be good. He's in it to be famous and wealthy. He wants to be known as this great corsair, essentially. He's not
Yeah.
evil. He's not good. He's just a rogue.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. That's great. All right.
And that's
character's
one of my
on
things I've
lockdown.
always argued. Alignment settings. A lot of people like to use comic book characters. I've always argued that the Joker is chaotic neutral because while he tends to do evil things, he does it with a specific purpose of making himself laugh.
And there are some situations in like the comics and the mythos where essentially he does stuff that's not. That's actually
becomes
kind of good. That's
he's
kind of like.
he's as likely to shoot a gun at you that pops out a flag that says "bang" as he is to shoot you.
Yeah.
And
Just
that's why
mess
I've,
with
I've
you.
always said while he does a lot of evil stuff, he does a lot of stuff that's just irreverent.
It's a very good point.
Yeah, whether he would take an innocent life or not would depend entirely on the humor of the situation,
Yeah.
rather than an impulse towards saving or taking an innocent life.
and then I don't know if we mentioned to talk about this with regards to alignment. Are we sticking still with that essentially the neutral spectrum where you can kind of stay all the goods, neutral good and or lawful neutral and then neutral, but everything else is prohibited?
Well, chaotic
or
neutral is allowed. You just have to have, like for this character, you have to be able to define what makes him chaotic neutral. What is the driving force that makes them so chaotic?
Yeah, you can't be a chaotic neutral character just because he's crazy. Like
Yeah.
that's just lazy role playing. That's just kind of like
you can same character. I mean,
but there
I've
still
seen
needs to
them
be
played very
reasons.
well,
And, yeah.
where they're just like this character's he was attacked by an elephant and that was just literally crazy. I mean, these large for example, a wild magic sorcerer who could be chaotic neutral because a
Yeah.
wild magic sorcerer is very much about the randomness of the universe, and as a result of that, will do random things at random times.
Yeah.
But still essentially guided, not like as I've seen people attempt to, because literally they just don't know what
Yeah,
to do, and they're just like, you know what, I just want to play a character where I can do whatever I want.
Are you friends with Heather on Facebook? Can you link her the Twitch?
Oh, sure.
Tell her to roll with us. Just text her and say roll with us, and then you can just click it. You should have liked us on roll with us already.
Shut up. You should
All of you.
They all did. I think
Except
everyone
you.
watching.
Do it again.
I know.
Tell
you
your friends.
and what you did. Tell your friends. But speaking of alignment, with mine, I'm thinking true neutral, because she's going from chaotic evil as a tiefling to trying to go to lawful good, and that's sort of the
Yeah, okay. So at the moment she's true neutral, trying to kind of balance her
Internal script,
her natural evilness with what she thinks is right, and that results in neutrality. She has to take all of her evil, bottle it up, and make herself logical.
Heather Ann.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, because from what I read in the books about tieflings, they tend to be, looking out for their own benefit, so chaotic, and then evil because they're demonic blood, and then I'm not really sure what the mythos behind Paylor is, but I'm assuming.
Well, I would
light
disagree with the
life.
chaotic aspect because is very confused with the classic villain, and this is what to think out. When you look at lawful or neutral evil in this world, and the way it's defined, is that they are the best villain archetypes, generally speaking. Just because the character is very intelligent, very smart, and they're usually hiding their intentions throughout the campaign. Because they are trying
It
to
seems like
create
neutral
an
evil is
armor.
often presented actually as someone who's very upfront about it, where they're just kind of like, yo dog, I want to get paid.
No,
It
that's
seems like
lawful
that's-
again, because it's a code, it's a standard, and it's like, that's why they go, oh, I'm ready to get paid, I'll take a contract, and it doesn't matter if it's good or if it's evil, I just
Well, that's
take
a
it.
scenario. I mean like neutral evil, where it's just like usually, and it's defined in the book, and it's usually defined in most D&D stuff, where it's like neutral evil is just like pretty much just self-centered. You do whatever you want for you, and you don't care about.
But it's not
compassion.
chaotic, because chaotic
You
is
don't care.
more of the idea of jumping around,
Yeah.
versus neutral, it's about your own benefit, but at the same time, in line about that a lot too,
Yeah,
because it's to perceive as a better person you might be to take advantage of a situation. Like
Yeah,
that.
if it's a smart
I always
character.
understood the difference between lawful and chaotic. Lawful, you're relying on an external set of principles. Chaotic, you're relying on an internal, what is your own benefit as
Yeah.
your principles.
Yeah.
And then neutral is where you balance the two.
Mm-hmm.
Well, specifically in the D&D universes, when it comes to evil, lawful versus chaotic. Chaotic evil is demons, lawful evil is devils. Devils have a strict hierarchy. There's the devils in charge, then there's the lower devils and the lower devils and the lower devils, and they all know their place. They all abide by the rules of their level of hell and who is in charge. Demons are all about the strongest rules, the strongest survives. We are going to go out and destroy everyone that is not us because everyone else is weaker
How do I
than us.
know?
Devils and demons fight
Oh,
on a
this
regular
is for the
basis because
background.
devils
Okay,
want
yeah.
the
So
world
now-
in order and
so-
demons want the world in chaos.
One thing that we can look at.
Absolutely.
And so, I think specifically tieflings
Because it
come
will
from
also have a suggestion.
demonic heritage versus devil heritage.
Yes, they
actually-
do, and they said that they tend towards the
It's
chaotic
suggesting the
evil
hermit
as a
background.
default.
Now here
That
we're
That
thinking about.
actually works
So I'm
well.
I'm
We're
thinking.
thinking
So
about the
actually,
character
they
in
did a
terms of,
really
like,
good
what is
job
their
again
background, what
in
they
this
do,
edition, which
because
was
this is-
defining.
where it's not just
which I
about
do
just kind of
love.
like, I'm
No,
an
wait till they
adventurer
finish.
forever. It's like, no, they have a life where they're doing things.
Mm.
So like, there's an acolyte, which is like a devotion to a temple
Oh,
or
that's kinda
god or
funny.
pantheon. But then hermit usually works well for a druid because it's about kind of like trying to find spiritual enlightenment or maybe other reasons, basically excluding yourself from the outside
for the
world.
tiefling, actually.
There's also like
while
guild
we're
artisans,
thinking
so
about
your
alignment,
tradesmen.
Did you think of a background?
Here's the hermit
Did you look
I did
background.
so why don't we go and look at the backgrounds, Mike and
Outlander.
Paul?
There's the Outlander background,
Ooh.
where
Switch
you
this
grew up
to-
in the
switch
wilds,
this
far
to
from
enlightenment.
civilization.
I have it
You
on.
witnessed the
What page?
migration
It's
of herds
122.
large in force. You're
Go ahead and
insulted.
just let him look through the.
The wilds are in your
backgrounds, which is
blood, whether
actually
you're a nomad, an
very
explorer, a
close to page
recluse, a
128.
hunter-gatherer, or even a marauder. So it sounds to me like it's sounding like you're going for. There's also sailor, but it sounds like
Yeah, really.
you're dealing. With
Yeah.
urchin again. It's not growing. So it sounds like you're working as a druid either with Outlander or Hermit. Hermit is more about it seems like it's a lot about kind of like discover. It's like there's this feature where there's a discovery. You've like learned something about the universe, or you have a personal philosophy and these kinds of things. Outlander is more about just kind of like living out in the wilds and stuff.
I think both work so well for a druid.
Is there
Both
any
work
list?
for a
Is there
I
a
think
quick
rolling
list
is
of
a-
the- Do they not have that? I didn't see it.
I don't think it's listed out there, so I just have to like tell you. So there's Acolyte,
Okay.
which is kind of like a temple type thing.
Yeah.
Charlatan,
Yeah, not me.
yeah,
Criminal. not
Criminal.
me.
And there are different kind of like styles for these things. Entertainer doesn't sound like folk hero. Come from a humble social rank.
Oh.
The
okay.
people of your home village regard you as
The other thing is, druids have culture. They live in druidic circles. I mean, you don't have to be a random person like living out by yourself. You can be a member of a small society.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you are essentially because like
Yeah.
you were brought into the druid circle of the grassland in that area. So I mean, yeah, you can be a folk hero here, a guild artisan, which is like you're part of a guild business. Which I mean, you know, you can do
Yeah.
that. This is just depending on like the kind of. Again, this is the hermit. There's different.
Heather was like, everyone's messaging me with the Twitch link. Stop it.
You asked for it.
And also there's
No, I
different
asked
here. I'll
for it.
read you the different reasons for being a hermit that they give, which you can either roll randomly or we could just choose. You're searching for spiritual enlightenment, partaking of communal living in accordance with the dictates of a religious order, druid order, exiled for a crime you didn't commit, after a life-altering event, needed a quiet place to work on your art, literature, music, or manifesto, needed to commune with nature, far from civilization, caretaker of an ancient ruin or relic,
Yep. Again.
pilgrim in search of a person, place, or relic of spiritual significance.
Real quick, let's
Yeah.
go ahead and do the alignments.
I'm going to read off on the alignment because one thing they did a little bit better of a job this time was defining alignment, and it's.
They've got
I mean,
good
again, it's a
definitions. I read
short,
through
quick
that. It's pretty
definition.
good.
Set to this, but lawful good. Creatures can be counted on to do the right thing as expected by society, and that's the big point there. And they give examples, like always, gold dragons, paladins, and most dwarves are lawful good. Neutral good, folk do the best they can to help others according to their needs. Many celestials, some cloud giants, and most gnomes are neutral good. Chaotic good, creatures act as their conscience dictates, or directs, with little regard for what others. Copper dragons, many elves, and unicorns are chaotic good.
Everybody knows unicorns are chaotic good. I mean, obviously.
Lawful
Totally
neutral.
makes sense.
Individuals act in accordance with law, tradition, or personal codes. Many monks and some wizards are lawful neutral. Neutral. It's the alignment of those who prefer to steer clear of moral questions and don't take sides doing what seems best at the time. Lizard folk, most druids, and many humans are neutral.
I like that. It's not instead that neutral where it's no longer called the true neutral, where it's not just like basically true neutral druid. Instead, it's like instead it's just neutral, where it's like people who just don't even want to have an opinion. Like it's kind of like it's almost like a lack of opinion. Just like, yo, dog, I'm just a farmer over here. I'm just farming my land. I don't need to really make a giant decision about your ethical quandaries over here.
As long as I can farm my land.
I don't need to worry about whether or not getting rid of those kobolds is bad. They're trying to kill my cows. Okay,
Yeah.
go take care of it.
Can you just deal with it? Like I got turnips over here.
Chaotic neutral. So creatures follow their whims, holding their personal freedom above all else. Many barbarians and rogues and some bards are chaotic neutral. Lawful evil. Creatures methodically take what they want within the limits of a code of tradition, loyalty, or order. Devils, blue dragons, and hobgoblins are lawful evil. Neutral is the alignment of those who do whatever they can get away with without compassion or qualms. Many drow, some cloud giants, and Yugothoths are neutral evil. I think I pronounced that right.
Yogoloths?
Yugoloths or Yugoloths. It's YU.
Whatever, it's a made-up word.
Juggalos!
Juggalos!
No, because
evil.
obviously they're chaotic
made-up
people.
people.
Yeah, you're right.
Chaotic
Well,
evil.
no, guys, they're not people. They're gang members, as defined by the government.
That's right.
That's right.
Fauna is harmless, then why is my grandma a juggalo?
And then chaotic evil. Creatures act with arbitrary violence, spurred by their greed, hatred, or bloodlust. Demons, red dragons, and orcs are chaotic evil. And I think that really helps. It does a little bit better job of defining like what your character does strive for,
and it does hit all those major points, which is like, oh, is it character balance? Is it morality? And they go, no, this is kind of more in the lawful. No, this is more in the chaotic. So it helps you define your character, because that was what Darby and I always talked about. It was like chaotic good, or chaotic neutral was essentially a weak person who didn't know how to roleplay, kind of chose it and allowed them to do whatever they kind of felt like, and that's not what chaotic neutral is.
Yeah.
Chaotic neutral.
I'd rather you be
has its
neutral if you
balance.
wanted to do that.
And and like, and right there, it's like, yeah, you're neutral, and you kind of like, you just like, I don't really care about anything. Just let me do what I want to do, you know. Where chaotic neutral does have a little bit more definition. A lot of role players, at least in my experience in D&D, kind of default to that, and it's like, oh, I can do whatever I want.
The one thing I'd always find people who were playing, who were new players, other players would always encourage them to pick chaotic neutral. And I'd just be like, why not let them actually define a character for their first game instead of just falling back on what you think?
Yeah, and I love, to be honest, like, the hardest challenge is choosing something that you are not comfortable with, obviously, and it can be some of the most fun. You roll with a party that your alignment doesn't fit, it's almost impossible to really kind of play that way. You're essentially forcing a character to fit in a party, and it's difficult and doesn't necessarily make sense. But like in a campaign, usually you want to stick towards the good end. You know, you run in an evil campaign, DMs run against it, and I would personally too, is because it's just it takes away so much from the development of a real good story.
Well, it's like I said, I've done an evil campaign where we actually we that were good, but we did them for evil reasons.
Yeah.
I had a halfling revenant assassin who just wanted to murder people. That's all he wanted to do, and as long as he could get away with it, he was happy. So when all the villagers said, "Hey, go kill those evil people," he said, "Sounds like fun," and he went and he helped to do that because that's all he wanted to do. He had a reason to do something good, but he did it for evil reasons.
Yep.
And so it's very, you can have any kind of alignment you want, so long your character being
Based on
part
your
of the group.
Right. Exactly.
All right. I think we should roll up. So now Joel has an idea of his background and the stuff, and he's going to roll on some of the random elements of the background.
Yeah.
So
Are you recording this somewhere?
For where I'm gonna be putting it, I think Mike is putting it.
Yeah, you can write it down there for the background. So he's doing for the background.
So
he's doing
Perfect.
We're doing Outlander, and the way I recorded stuff for this was I just put down like
I haven't rolled my height yet, so I wanted to do that too.
I put down personality, ideal, bond, and flaw, and I just wrote down the numbers that kind of come down because they're like they're between 1d6 or 1d8. That's how I recorded mine anyway. So okay. And his origin. Okay. So
does he? What do I?
For origin, okay, so for his background is Outlander. Origin is 8, right?
Origin is 8.
Tribal nomad.
So I want to just put origin and then tribal nomad.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you can write that down.
Just for
the other ones are a bit wordy, so then those ones you might just want to put in numbers.
We can put actually the easiest word that is like totally perfect.
That's why that's what I think is the best.
Personality trait
Personality?
is wanderlust. That's that.
Driven by wanderlust. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Wanderlust?
Wanderlust.
Yeah.
Wander, like wandering around.
Yeah, wanderlust. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if that's
It's one word, right? They have it as one word.
Yeah, one
wanderlust.
word.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now we got the ideal, which is a D6.
Okay, so a D6.
So roll it up.
Oh no, yeah, that wouldn't work.
That's a 3.
Yeah,
So
go ahead
what's
and roll that one.
3?
Honor. If I dishonor myself, I dishonor my whole clan.
Ooh.
Oh, that means I'm lawful. Or does that?
That's not
necessarily-
entirely. It's geared towards. I think this. We're taking it more as a suggestion.
Oh, okay.
Like for instance,
Yeah.
I got one that said
Ideal
evil,
is
but we
really
still
good.
ended up deciding, you know what, this character isn't entirely evil. So we'll
Right.
see. We'll see how it
We'll
goes.
see.
Yeah, I think that,
Okay.
that works.
And
That works.
then-
well.
It depends on how everything works together. It might end up working where it's more.
They don't all have.
It could be something
they
else
don't
that
all
does
have the
feel
same
more
amount.
lawful, but we'll see.
Right.
How about okay? So right now for the ideal, we've got honor. Yeah,
Okay.
just honor,
So now we got our bond. Our bond.
Thank you.
which is
I suffer awful visions of a coming disaster and will do anything to prevent it. Oh, sweet.
Okay, if,
So
if this character is
bond.
selected, I have a. I'll
What's the
I'll
bond
inform
again?
That.
Visions of disaster. And
I'm gonna put
needing
disaster
help.
could just work.
Yeah,
disaster.
or needing to prevent.
Vision.
If anything like that, where anything that requires a meta knowledge, we'll make sure to make a note of it when we write up the character sheets, and then if that character is selected, they will have special information given of the set.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Yeah,
figure
again,
it out.
disaster. That's like a perfect one in regards to this universe. Again, it's
this,
the rise
this
of Tiamat.
campaign,
It's
there's
the
a bunch of
Tiamat.
stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying to stop a lot of things.
So you
That's
got
true.
visions of disaster. Yeah, that would be a big kind of
All right.
campaign thing.
Yeah,
It's
I like
essentially
that.
Game of Thrones. Spoiler alert! So plug your ears if you haven't seen
I don't
up to
know
the recent
anything,
seasons.
shut up.
It's
Alright, spoilers coming in 5,
4, 3, 2, 1. Essentially, when Daenerys is in the House of the Dead and Westeros essentially burnt or covered in snow. It's an argument of what happens in there. Maybe